There we go. All right. I've got my opening graphics going right now. So. Did you get your drinks? Okay.
Yeah, got one.
Forgot to give it to you yesterday, actually. I'll go ahead and talk about this, see if I got level.
Testing. Testing.
Yep. Get Chris's big ass out here.
Yeah.
We're ready to go.
Big boy.
Uh-huh. So what we do is we encourage you to open up your, go to the Shakers page.
Yeah.
And get the stream going on there so people can comment and let them know you're on there, and then people can see you. See, this is what's showing right now.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
told my sons where I was going. You know,
Yeah.
I want to go.
Come on over here and get mounted up, Chris. I might have to slide.
Cody tonight?
No Cody, no Zach, and no Jay. So just the three of us. So your chair's right there. I'm gonna be in the middle. I gotta go ahead and mic up because I got
This is the first time Cody hasn't been here, ain't
Cody's first missed episode. We're gonna roast the crap out of him.
it? Why is he missing?
Scared of
Sick, scared. I don't know. Who knows? We're gonna find out.
Well, he went home with a questionable woman last night, so maybe he caught something there.
Last night again.
questionable.
Who we left with?
Oh my God. We won't talk about that.
No, we can't. We can't talk about that one.
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and take us live feed, and then I'll come and get in the picture. Here we go.
Yep.
All right. We should be live. There's about a 30-second delay on the feed, so.
Yeah.
You are watching Session Stream live from Shaker's Bar, downtown Cape. Get mounted up, Chris. You get it?
Yeah.
All right, good. So they can hear all that. All right, we are live now, so we've got a few people already viewing with us, and the table is slightly different tonight. We've got good thing DeMadre's here because at least there's some good-looking people at the table.
Right.
You got at least one good-looking person at the table, and then you got me and Chris.
I want to save the show.
You got me and Chris over here.
Do what I can.
If you'll notice, there are two of our regulars. One who's been here every episode is now missing tonight, and I told him I was going to roast the crap out of him. And so, like Chris said, questionable women will give you a new year of questions. So be careful. I'm not going to say who that's about, but I will just say you'll notice there's two people missing. But tonight I'm happy to have them back. Chris is back at the table. Chris Monroe, if you notice Chris, he's a kind of a downtown icon. He's our head of security here at Shakers and also a very opinionated guy that we like to talk to. And then for the first time at the table, college graduate, right? You just graduated, right?
Yeah.
Which month?
December. Well, this month.
December, wow.
Couple
So,
weeks ago.
DeMadre, what's your last name, DeMadre?
Bro.
DeMadre Rowe. We had to have some intelligence on the show because you had me and Chris. We had good looks and intelligence, and then us. we got good looks and intelligence, and us. Chris doesn't mind, he notices he's not fighting with me on it. It is what it is, right?
You're right. I
That was whoever's with him.
That's what it is, right? Look,
She's with him 'cause
and he is the most interesting man in the world.
I try to put uglier people around me to make me look better.
I know.
I hang out with Eric.
I can't help it because I got to sit. Someone's got to sit one side or the other of me, and
it's balanced.
yeah, it's balanced. But we kind of changed it up this week, and Zach is not in tonight. Zach is not feeling up to par. We're going to roast him here in a little bit because I've got some things to say about weak bloodlines and werewolves.
Zach, you better be watching.
Oh, he said he was. He said he was going to watch.
You better be watching.
He said he was going to watch, but he said he could wait 30 minutes and still not get roasted because we're late and we take forever. But
I mean, he's
no.
not wrong.
Oh.
Well, no, the Lycan bloodline is weakened from what I heard about Underworld because they screw around with vampires. So, yeah. So Zach's called Zach. You've seen Zach, right?
Yeah,
Big Zach.
yeah.
Zach's called. We called him Sexy Werewolf, and from the beginning that was like his nickname, and so he didn't make it tonight, and so we we're making fun of him for that. And then of course Cody Essick, Cody too. Cody's been here every episode. This is his first episode in 25 of them that he's missed.
Where you at, Cody?
Yeah.
What you doing?
Cody isn't feeling up to his normal
I mean,
self.
we live streamed you on an iPad from your bed.
Yeah, I don't think that would have been a pretty
I don't wanna see
picture.
that.
The way he kind of made it sound is he didn't feel very good. So he bowed out tonight. He thanked me for allowing him to miss. And I said, both you and Zach, your bloodlines are weak. And when you come back to the show, we're going to make sure that everybody knows that.
We're going to make a sacrifice.
Yeah, we're going to sacrifice you. And the other way I look at it, DeMadre, is Chris, if anybody has a reason to be sick, it's Chris. Because Chris is the biggest consumer of whiskey that I've ever met. And if anything is going to make, the overconsumption of alcohol, you'd think it'd make you sick, but this guy,
it just kills
it just
everything in
preserves.
your
Well, to say it's a natural preservative.
Well, you would think it, but then but that would work for Zach, and it doesn't.
No, Zach's consumption is weak compared to mine.
Okay, there we go.
Yes.
Weak consumption, Zach. Did you hear that? Weak consumption.
He's like, put like he's a Walmart door greeter.
Yeah,
When do you ever see a sick Walmart door greeter?
that's true.
Freaking old immortals.
That's true. They're immortals, aren't they? That's what I always thought. Yeah. They're always older folks, and yeah, now they're using the
All those kids that went Code Adam, they drink their blood at the stadium.
all the Code Adam kids. Well, they're using physically challenged folks now, which I think is awesome. There's guys working the door in wheelchairs and stuff, but that comes to mind. Just because they're in a wheelchair doesn't mean they can't drink someone's blood.
Oh no.
I would like to see, and I'm just going to say this to Madra. I don't know about you if you watch horror movies or anything.
I do.
I'm a vampire fan in general. I think most of us are. When are they going to have a physically challenged vampire?
Wouldn't that defeat the purpose of becoming a vampire?
Would it?
I
I mean, if he was in a wheelchair, vampires can still fly.
I'm just saying, if you
So-
were in a wheelchair,
But could you
and
see
you
it?
became a vampire,
Yeah.
and you were still in a
You
wheelchair,
would, but you wouldn't be. That's right. So, in other words, you become a vampire to get rid of all your sickness,
Yeah.
right?
Kind of like
You would
Christopher
feel like you
Reeve,
kinda-
Superman after the accident.
I think that's what Cody was doing yesterday with questionable women, is trying to find his superpower. You're not going to find it there, Cody. It doesn't rest within the
Yes, it does.
within the loins. Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
Get married to be safe forever, or get killed like on Investigation Discovery.
He's in a little crab.
There's
Turn into
untold
Spider-Man.
power there, Cody. You're gonna crank it down.
DeMadre's encouraging your sickness, whatever it is. If it's female encouraged, he's
I'm just saying. The
backing you
powerful
up.
men in the world are all married.
That's true.
Might be something to it.
But also, though, they also say the most powerful men in the world are married, but also the most powerful men in the world want to also kill themselves per capita more than anyone else. At some point, I don't. I love you, babe, if you're watching.
It's safe. It's
Yeah. Well, she knows. She knows I'm full of it. But disclosure, I wanted to make sure I announce this beginning of shows. I don't usually do this, but this is a R-rated show. There are cuss words allowed. We don't have editing. There's no big staff of folks. In fact, Jay's not here. He's got family stuff going on, so no one's on the board tonight. So it's basically just the three of
no
us.
censorship here.
No censorship here, and there's a reason for that.
America.
Because the whole show would just be one long.
He said America.
Well, that and the whole show would just be one.
Why? Why? Because America. That's why. But no, it's true. I wanted to have an uncensored show. It's in a bar. How are you going to censor a show in a bar? And I figured, well, we'll just keep it open. That way people could say, and if a cuss word comes out, then it comes out. And we got Zach here, and we had to have.
That way.
It is more real. People are a little more honest that way. And somebody says, don't ever trust a person that doesn't say the F word. So. One would tell
Fucking do it.
a little quick story though. My wife, bless her heart, she's involved in church and very dedicated mom. But every so often, I will make her mad enough, not purposely, but well, sometimes I guess, as husbands do, spouses. she will she'll let the F word out. And when she does, I know she's really mad. That's like her tip-top madness that she could be.
If my grandma ever dropped the F word, the world's ending.
I know.
Like 5 minutes later.
That's kind of how it is. That's kind of as my wife, because my wife's always thinks about what she says, and she tries to, with our kids being around. And so I know if we're having a little private discussion and she lets the F word go, I have pushed that final button.
Too far.
I have gone too far, so I know that. But
So I do that with my kids.
yeah. But I always, when we did the unedited stuff, I said, when you love a werewolf like I do, what are you going to do? You got to let the camera loose on him, and you got to have an R-rated.
Hope a full moon's not out.
That's right. You got to hope a full moon is out. Speaking of that, last week we had Cody's single party.
Yes.
I don't know if you know about this, but Cody recently became single, like permanently single.
He's been re-released into the
Like
wild.
we're single or like
No, they're just
long-term
girlfriend, like
relationship?
long-term relationship.
5-year
Oh, that's
relationship single.
a bad.
I think it was 6, but either way, it doesn't matter. He was with the same girl for a long time. They cohabitated, and so he was recently unfurled onto the world. And we actually said, somebody brought it up, Lauren or somebody, or maybe it was you, I don't know. Somebody brought up, so we should have a Cody single party. I was
It's a re-release party.
We'll do a blackout party. We'll do a blackout party. And what happened was, instead of people wearing black, they thought it meant get Cody blackout.
Get Cody blackout.
So he
succeeded.
He drank 33 shots on the night that he worked, and so he at the end of the night, he was like close up looking, and he goes, "Look into my eyes. I want you to keep my tips and donate it to charity." And so,
hell of a guy. Cody.
yeah, and so
That's an interesting drunk thought.
I know it was. No, he was just feeling so
Charity
generous.
shows
For
was
the
the Feed
kids.
Chris charity.
But just see, Cody's one of those guys. He's like a really nice guy in general, right? So he's always looking for a way to be nice. So he's looking at me and he's like, you know what? I want it to be a Christmas present. And he made some tips. It was a pretty decent night.
Yeah.
So he wants to donate his tips. And Lauren working with Lauren's like, no, we're not doing that. So I kept his money and put it in the office. But he texted me, and so I knew within a certain amount of time when he realized, he kind of caught he realized what's going on. So I said, by the way, I texted him, I said, by the way, I'm donating your tips to Humane Society. And he goes, LOL, I deserve that. And he goes, and speaking of that, do you think I could get him back? Can I have him? And I said, yeah, you can have him. Of course you can have him. I said, I'll just tell the puppies to screw off.
You should have bought him a puppy.
Oh,
Tips.
see, that would have been even, or just giving him like a few of his tips, but then here's your tips. Brought him some, like, adopted a Labrador or
Give
something.
up your money, now you
should've
have a new
found
financial responsibility.
The saddest.
This is your lesson.
Kitty. The one-eyed, three-pawed cat.
Get him one that he can't say no to, and do it on
Lucky
camera
every
so he's
time.
like locked into it.
If an animal's missing a limb or an eye, like at least
One
70%
that
of
doesn't
the
even
time.
like purr.
It just looks at y'all squirrely from across the room like it's going to kill you in your sleep.
When they tell you he needs like 3 shots a day.
Be like, did you ever watch the show The Office?
Yeah.
So Angela on there is a big cat fan, and remember, I don't know if you guys know this, but she set Dwight, which at the time she was kind of boffing in the office, to take care of her cat, and Dwight kills her cat and shoves it in the freezer, and of course the cat's not dead, so the cat tries to claw its way out. Dwight's like, I'm a farmer, what did you expect me to do? But I'm just thinking about that because Dwight's in a nice says, I'll volunteer and help out your cat.
The
And then he has to
family
put
funerals have to shoot the
yeah,
body.
and he has to put this topical solution on the cat's hot spot, which is below its tail right above. So she describes it to Dwight, so he just kills the cat. So you got to get a cat for somebody if you're going to give him a cat. So in that case with Cody, that would have been a great idea, is to get him a dog or a cat, one that's just mangly messed up, needs help, needs love, and do it on camera and say, here's your tips. Thank you for a donation to the Humane Society.
I mean, you could have just given it to me. I need those things.
You're a big puppy, though.
Mangled up.
Yeah.
Definitely. Have you
You-
seen this?
He is very mangled up. Yeah. We're not sure how long he's got left, but anyway. So Cody's single party was
Ugly stick, man.
Cody's single party was a lot of fun. He told me, he goes, no more Cody themed parties for me. So we can't do that
I
anymore.
had friends that had a single party for me.
I would.
Like every day.
Did you just get released, or did?
No, I've been released forever.
Oh, well then, yeah, you don't get a single party unless it's like something fresh and new. But trust me.
Sometimes he has to go on like a 120 shack, go back in.
Yeah.
It's like,
You gotta throw him back into captivity for just a little bit and be like, oh my God.
I tried, and it is like shock therapy. Because
It is.
when you're single for a long time, like, I'm never wrong.
I didn't even think about that. That's so true, though.
Never wrong.
You're never wrong, and
The minute you like somebody, doing everything wrong. I'm breathing wrong. One girl told me I breathe wrong. I was like, oh,
listen to how you breathe.
I was unaware.
Just listen to yourself.
I actually had,
You know, I never thought about that. Being single, you're never wrong.
even when you are wrong, you're not really.
There's nobody to check you.
There's no consequences.
Yeah.
Is that really wrong?
No, it's not.
It's just,
That's one of the beauties of being single, I think. You get to kind of just
Well,
say and do whatever you want, think how you want.
Friend's wife, we were at a party, at a birthday party. She, this is my cousin's wife. She comes over. She says, "So when are you gonna get done with this single nonsense?"
Is that what you said to you?
Yeah. And I looked at her. She's been trying to hook me up with one of her friends.
Uh-huh.
And I said, "You know what I do when I go home?" She said, "What?" "Whatever I want." So when I go to the store,
Yeah.
I'm there as long as I want. Mm-hmm. Nobody calls to see how long I'm gonna be gone.
Yeah.
Who I'm with, can I bring something back?
Mm-hmm.
Is there an errand? When I come home, I'm home when I need to be. If I forget something, it's not a big deal.
So do you ever think about, like, maybe you don't, how old are you?
38.
38. Okay, so you're like what they call a non-traditional student then. Okay.
Oh, what she said to me after I told her that, she says, "You're just fucking selfish."
Because you want your own stuff?
Yeah.
No, that's not selfish.
No woman telling you what to do.
Listen, I got fortunate to found an awesome partner. My wife, been married 13 years, been together 14. I got lucky, right, after all the years. But for many of us, it's not like that. So you're right. If you're single and you could find happiness in your singlehood, stick with it, brothers and sisters, because being married or being in a relationship with someone that sucks is one of the worst things you could possibly do. I've been there, and I've always said being lonely is better than being in a relationship and being lonely. I'd rather be single by myself, never being wrong, than being with somebody that makes me miserable and unhappy. So make yourself happy, man. In life, that's about all we can try to hope to, is try to be
I
happy.
can find a way to be wrong when I'm single.
Well, that's true. I mean, that's true. But the point he's making,
Cheated on.
the point he's making is like I know you're from your posts and stuff, man. He's talking about being single. You've been single for a long time. I mean, you dated a little bit here recently, but you've chosen single life, or it's chosen you, whichever. But I know that you've mentioned that you'd like to have a healthy relationship with somebody and have somebody to come home to. But I know how you live. So, do you think someone can exist in that world?
Not if you don't
Like,
like it.
that'd be one tough. Listen, that'd be one tough girl, man. Whoever could live with Chris.
I ain't got nothing to be at home for, so that's why I'm out.
Okay. So you mean I'd lose all your business if you got a girlfriend?
Oh, now see, now you think
Chris has a disease. Chris has herpes.
bullshit, man.
I saw the
We're trying to not. You saw him try to keep Chris from falling in love with somebody, so he doesn't come down here anymore.
to the Humane Society.
He's got mange. Oh man. Well, so DeMondre, what are you going to do with your life? What's your focus, man?
Right now, just relaxing. I've been working nonstop, 2 jobs, school, mentoring, coaching, tutoring.
Yeah, you do a lot of mentoring and stuff. Chris was talking about that. You're real involved, and you got a lot of passion for mentoring kids and stuff like that. Tell us,
It's a great thing you
tell us a little bit about that, man. That's awesome.
Well, it started just coaching.
Coaching what?
Basketball.
Basketball. Okay.
My friend's, short story, my friend's mom ran the church basketball league, the
Okay.
Evening Optimists,
Yeah.
and I put my kids in.
Okay.
And I walked in one day, and the coach had the flu. And
Oh.
he's got 12 kids.
Uh huh.
They're running around. They're all like in the 3rd grade.
Yeah.
And he's the green. And she looks over. She's dropping off the T-shirts that day. She says, "Can you help him? because none of these they were little black kids too, so they weren't listening to shit he had to say. But I'm telling you, they were
Little baby's kids running around.
Black kids from Jefferson School, those badass kids. And he's in there. He's in there and he's trying to. I swear, there was one kid like doing a handstand and 3 or 4 shooting the ball.
It was just recreational
he's
time,
blowing
huh?
the whistle and coughing, and they don't care. And she said, "Can you help him?" I said, "Yeah, I don't mind." But that was like, oh hell, they're 9th, 10th grade now.
Okay.
Way back then, and I started then, and I helped him end up taking over the team.
Okay.
Because, kids are afraid of a giant person.
Yeah, you have. You're not a small guy. You're a big guy.
And
So
I yell a lot. I've got I use my drill sergeant voice on him.
okay.
And I actually found that I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it. And then from basketball, one of my sons wanted to play football.
Uh-huh.
One of my good buddies, Roy, he helped run the football league.
Okay.
I said I would help.
Yeah.
And Roy said, "Oh, that's great. We'll have you help. Here's a team."
Yeah.
Hold on, wait a minute. He said, "No, here's
Oh,
a
they're
team."
good at that. Yeah. Right.
So now I just said I wanted to help somebody. I said, "Yes, that's cool. Here's a team.
Uh-huh.
There you go." And I've been doing that since I started that. But when you start coaching, you start getting to know the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I found a lot of kids. There's no bad kids in my opinion. Just kids with stupid adults in their lives.
Yeah.
And I saw how much helping a few kids year after year after year, they come and I'd coach them, just help them grow. So I just really started. It was more of a volunteer mentoring.
Okay.
I'll see this kid. He might not even be on my team, but I'll see him out and I'll pull him in. If that
Get over here and quit doing cartwheels. Get your ass over
yeah.
here.
If that helps me helps him, I can see him a couple hours every week.
Yeah.
That's 2 or 3 hours every week.
But that's something that they might not have had to begin with.
Yeah, that's something I know something.
You be a positive male role model in their life.
Oh yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah, that's
turned
super
into-
important, man.
Instead of dropping them off at home, just taking them to my house.
Yeah.
And then they go to school, and then a couple of them just live with me for a little while.
Well, I know when I was a kid, man, I was a kid that was in the Big Brothers Big Sisters program, and I know that I had no male figure around, and if it hadn't been for a couple of guys that took me under the wing and I didn't really get a lot of male figure bringing up, but the ones that they did, I had a guy that was named Dave Earl. He was real close. Took me camping, told me about hunting and fishing, and kind of how a man was supposed to react with people, and how to control your temper, and So that's the thing about men is men are able to give to children what women aren't. Nothing against women, but there's a certain thing that men bring to the lives of a child, and it's just biologically, scientifically what it is you brought something to those kids' lives that they drastically needed.
It's just, I think men, because we have more of an authoritative, even, purpose in the kid's life. Just not just my own, because I tell my kids all the time, I appreciate you. Shame your dad.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what you do. They call me community dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I said,
hey, let me get you to move your mic on this side over here.
Over here?
I should have had you put that over there, because you're looking at me talking, and it's going to pick up on one side. There you go. Yep. There you go. Now we'll hear you
There we
better.
go.
I want everybody to hear you, man, because what you're saying right now is super important for people to hear.
The community thanks you for sharing yourself with them. And your kids for sharing.
well, I noticed a couple times. I think you saw me one time. I ran out of here.
Yeah.
Because you'll see 14,
Yeah,
15-year-olds.
young kid was down here being knuckleheads.
Oh, okay.
And I know him.
And set them straight.
Oh, okay.
And when I look at kids like that, okay, first off, my youngest son is 14.
Uh-huh.
So that'd be like me coming out here at midnight, hanging out with my buddies.
Yeah.
And I look out the window, and there's my son. No, that's not happening.
Yeah.
What are you doing out? Take your ass home.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked me dead in the eye and said, I can't go home. I said, what do you mean? Mom locked me out. Okay, well, my night is over.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to go home, get your pizza. You're going to play Fortnite like a kid should be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not his fault.
Mom locked him out because of his behavior, and she couldn't handle him, or what?
Because mom wanted to go out.
Oh, okay.
So
what you're seeing, it's not in all situations, but in a lot of times, and you can talk to this a little bit, but a lot of times when it comes to especially young men that are out there kind of, like you said, not really trying to be knuckleheads, they just don't know any better.
Yeah.
it's because someone in their life has kind of let them down and is not being there for them.
I say 9.9 times that's the case.
Okay.
It's very rare I've ever really encountered just a kid that's got it all and he's just an ass.
They are out there.
I've met like one or two.
They are.
You meet them whenever they're in college.
Yeah, when they get older.
Yeah. I mean, but that's true. I mean, it's a great.
Well, I had one.
To have
actually, I did say, I said, your mom and dad pretty well off. You got a mom, you got a dad, a good family. What you so mad for? What's your attitude about?
Yeah, they don't even know half the time.
Well, cut the shit. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, coach.
Well, I mean, I think sometimes part of it is just having someone, an authority figure, a male figure, just look you in the face and just call you on your BS. Because a lot of times kids get away with that because people don't want to take the time that needs to take. Sometimes it just takes someone like you, or Chris has been involved with stuff like this, is getting involved and just going to the kid saying, look, I'm not that guy that's going to turn away and just let you run around. I'm going to pay attention to you. And that's a lot of times, especially young men, they just need structure.
Yeah.
They need someone giving them structure to follow, and then they sometimes it'll help
I
them.
coach in baseball.
Yeah.
I had a kid that had all the talent in the world. Most talented kid I've ever coached in my life. And just couldn't get away from wanting to be the cool guy and run the streets. He threw it all away.
Yeah.
So even with everyone trying to guide him.
I've got some family like that. I've got a cousin who, if you were to talk to him, it's everybody's fault.
Yeah.
Comes from we all come from the same place. Everybody's fault. The school didn't teach him. Nobody helped him.
Right.
He had a bad upbringing, and his family life was real rough. I know it's we're related. And I look at him and I'm like, okay, you went to jail. You did this. You did that. You didn't get what you say you're supposed to get.
Yeah.
You went to the same school.
Yeah.
And your brother's a doctor. And your sister's a lawyer.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, everybody in your family is a college graduate except you. But you didn't get anything. Huh.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
The truth is and that's bottom line what it is if responsible men and women will take a moment, and that's kind of like this show. We say what it is. We call stuff out what it is, and I'll be the first one to tell you, there are some kids out there that just need someone in their face saying, look, you're going to listen and do this. And a lot of kids, if they're called in to have to answer for their behavior, they don't even know why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah. That's a society thing too now.
Yeah.
We just don't do that as a whole with adults or people.
Yeah.
Used to be, if you saw a kid out doing something, somebody'd say something to you.
Yeah.
You might not bust you upside the head, but at least check you, say, hey.
They're one in the community.
Yeah.
They could
Crap.
bust me upside my head.
Now,
every parent in the community.
Now even
how it
in
used to
society,
be.
you almost can't say anything to anybody.
No, and that's the thing is society now, and that's a good point. It used to be, when I was a kid, I'm 50, and it's kind of still the same for when you were a kid and you too. It used to be where an adult would check you. Now you've got society telling adults that kids you got to be hands off, and my thing is I don't believe in any kind of physical contact with kids. Constantly having to adjust this crap. Sorry. I don't believe in like physical contact's always the answer with certain situations.
Yeah.
But when you got society kind of being given adverse examples of how it's supposed to be to raise a kid, you got issues with that. So I'm going to get into a couple things here with you guys.
Real quick, just to play a devil's advocate on the kid you were speaking about. Sometimes if you're in a situation where everyone else in your family is so successful, that's a lot of pressure on a kid, and they will rebel out of that because they have so much pressure on them to succeed.
Right. If he was the youngest, I would go for that, but
he was not. Okay.
No, he's like one of the middle kids. He just decided
everyone
he
in the
wanted to
family is very
smoke,
successful.
drink, hang out. And we're all like close to the same age. They're all probably like 3-4 years apart. He just made his own choices. I want to go do this.
And what you don't want to do, and I get what you're saying, but what you don't want to do is you don't want to give them an out by saying,
I'm not.
well, everybody around me is successful, so I'm going to fail.
Because trust me, he did that one.
No, I'm just saying feeling that pressure to succeed when, a lot of things are expected of you. Some kids crack under that.
Coming from what he came from, there was actually no expectation. You can't, your mom's a crackhead. you come from the ghetto. No one expected any of them to be anything.
Yeah.
So the fact that any of them actually has done anything with their lives, hell, people didn't expect most of them to graduate high school because no one was there to make them go.
Yeah. So
he just chose it.
So I don't know. Get into it is have you guys ever been? You were involved in high school sports, college sports. My wife played college sports. I'm sure you played. You obviously you coach and you mentored kids.
Yep.
But I troll the internet.
One of the greatest teams in the world, the United States military.
I was military also. So yeah. So but have you ever been watching a sporting event and thought to yourself, that ref is taking bribes, or that player is playing like he's got money on the game? Now, you're a Dallas fan, so I'm not going to really hit on you too much. But I saw this interesting video I watched. So on Vlad TV, there's this really cool internet
I saw
show.
the article that was shared.
Vlad TV, a former mob boss that used to he used to run the betting and a lot of that stuff. He talked about how many and how often athletes would shave points in order to pay gambling debts to him, and he didn't mention any particular players or teams, but he said, and this was back 70s and 80s or so, early 90s, back when players weren't, in the NFL weren't making as much as they do now.
Black Sox scandal way back in 19.
Right.
11 or whatever.
Well, that's a good the Black Sox scandal, and that's a good example. Is what happened was you got a couple of guys that had basically had gambling debts and basically had to pay debts, and also
the other guys were getting paid more than what they would have got to win.
Win the game.
You were getting paid more by the people that are telling you not to get points, not to hit the ball, not to catch the ball. So the reason I found it interesting was he basically said that at the college level, it's rampant at the college level.
Sure.
Because it's, first of all, it's hard to catch, and if nobody says anything, and if you do it the right way, if you don't make a big show out of it, that you can get away with it. So the reason I brought this up is because now we're in the big sporting season. You got basketball going on, NBA, you got football going on, all this going on all at once. Hockey actually is going on too, and you think about it, and you think about those times where you're watching a sporting event. And a player that is usually very, very resilient and doesn't fumble, and all of a sudden he coughs the ball up at a very critical time, or he throws a pass on the 1 yard line when you've got the best running back in the NFL. It makes you wonder. Well, I'm just saying. Everybody looked at that play and was like, "What are you doing?" Even Marshawn Lynch was like,
"I thought I was getting the ball."
So my question to you guys
the only people that knew he was throwing that ball was Russell Wilson and that defensive back from the Patriots.
Pete Carroll? Pete knew.
Yeah. Pete Carroll knew as he chomps on his gun. So my thing to you guys is as we just kind of talk about this real quick, I believe at all levels of sports. I'm talking about UFC, boxing, hockey, football.
I can vouch for that happening because it has happened to me. So yeah.
What's happened to you?
When I was in the Army, we had like this little amateur MMA/boxing type deal.
Yeah.
And countless times, I'd have a guy come up to me and, "Hey, look, you're only making like $50. It's for fun. So I'll give you $100
if you
go ahead and take the fall for me." And I'm like, no,
my pride
was
a
pride thing.
That.
Like I couldn't make myself lose to somebody I know I could beat. But I can't say that when I was down there,
when you were boxing,
down there and grappling, I didn't think about it.
I was approached by a guy that was a brother of one of the guys I was getting ready to fight. He said his brother.
I don't know if we've covered it, but you boxed.
I boxed for a long time,
but in your younger career.
But I was approached by a guy, but it was more of like a "hey, do me a favor" kind of thing. His brother wasn't in good health, and he passed the medical exam. We were getting ready to have a bout. It was like my third or fourth amateur bout, and he just came up to me and goes, "Hey, man, do me a favor. Don't hit him in the nose too many times." And I'm like, "It's a boxing match, man. What am I supposed to do?" Yeah. So basically, I beat him up to the body, so I didn't hit him in the face. But I found out he had a broken nose, and he didn't tell the medical people. So after the thing, the dude came up to me, and he was like, he said, "I've never been beaten to the body like that. Why didn't you hit?" And I said, "Look, no big deal, man. I just wasn't feeling punching you in the face, whatever." So his brother came up and tried to give me money after the bout was over and said, here's $100. And I said, "Look, I'm not taking money for that, man. I did that because I felt for you. Luckily, your brother wasn't feeling very good because I think he probably could have whooped my butt. So I was able to beat him in the body." But the reason, the thing about this is if you have, everybody's got debt, right? You went to college, so I know you got some debt. Yeah. I know you got debt.
Yeah.
We've talked about it. I've got debt with a business.
Loans,
with a business.
Vicious.
and it makes you wonder if you're in sports, right? And when you go into college, right? That's the start of you kind of starting to see where the money's at. And someone comes to you, a booster, and says, listen, takes you to dinner, right? Sits down and says, here's the deal. You're the best running back in the country. You're playing on some big, you're playing in the SEC. And he says, listen, here's the deal. I'm going to guarantee you your passage into the NFL. I'm going to make sure your mom and your dad have the house they want. I'm going to make sure they get the car they want to drive. I'm going to make sure that your kids in 20 years have a college fund. All you have to do is do this for me. No one's going to know. I'm not going to tell anybody. This is between you and me, but it's very important to me because I love this school and I don't want this school to have a losing football season, and you're the key to that. So here's what I need. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. So if you put yourself in that situation and you're a kid say you're from a place where maybe you didn't have a lot of money growing up, maybe you're coming into the world where just starting to kind of see, in high school, a lot of kids start kind of seeing they can make money because, like LeBron knew pretty quick, his sophomore year, I'm going to make a lot of money. But I think, let's say you're a poor kid from wherever, and you're in high school and you get into college and people are looking at you all-American, you got all this fanfare, and you came from nothing. You came from, like you said, you had this kid that basically his mom was a crackhead, and there was all these issues, and he gets in this situation, and you got all this money being thrown at you. Your life that you knew can be over. You don't have to be poor anymore. You don't have to be sad. You connect money with happiness.
Right.
So next thing you know, you're sitting there to yourself, and you're sitting in your apartment, right? You're sitting on a lawn chair. You're in college, and you're barely making it. You're sitting on a lawn chair, if you're lucky, and you're eating ramen noodles, trying to be a thoroughbred. And you're thinking to yourself, this guy just offered me this much money and all of this stuff, and all I got to do is this game.
Well, a reason why it runs rampant in the college sports is being a college athlete is like a full-time job.
Yeah.
You have to make it to your classes.
Right.
You have to make it to your practices. You got to be there for weightlifting.
Right.
You don't have time to work another job. So, you see your friends going out for a pizza from their little part-time job, you can't do that.
Well,
and meal plans don't feed you.
Well, even still,
whenever you're trying to be a college athlete, you get the calories to build muscle and do all that.
Right. So as an athlete, you can't even accept if the pizza parlor wanted to say, "Hey,
I know.
I'm gonna throw you a pizza."
It's going to be interesting to see how this changes now that they can make money off their likeness.
And here's the thing. That's why I got to this is, if you want to decriminalize something, or you want to make it to where people aren't going to do criminal stuff, you got to make it legal. Same thing with drugs.
Right.
So my thing about
time.
paying college athletes, if you want to stop the illegal betting and gambling, you start making sure that these athletes can somehow receive some reward and some type of benefit
Schools
from
make thousands
what
off
they're
of
doing.
Right. Well, they did that. Well, it started in California now. The kids can make money off their likeness. Like
so that's already happening.
Yeah, they already
get
passed
this man to sit down at the table.
Is that going to be? He may. Is that going to be in high school? You think? Do you think that'll ever go to high school?
It could. I mean,
I don't see why it could.
If you look at,
I don't think high school is.
They're starting to push at that one and done rule now.
Right.
And hell, LaMelo just signed a $100 million contract and a private jet. How much money Zion make when he was coming out? It's not like those talks aren't already in the works.
Right.
It's already being done. Mm-hmm. So
LaMelo had his own shoe in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing because
his dad's a marketing genius.
His dad, look, you could say
his dad's a moron. But
well, no, you can say whatever you want about his dad. I didn't like his dad either because anybody that's boisterous and loud, but he's a marketing. The dude got him a tryout with the Lakers before he was even getting a tryout with the Lakers. Just in a walk-in, he was just met the right enough
all
people,
three of his
and
sons.
he screamed and yelled and talked about it enough. Thing about promotion is if you believe in promotion, you do it without conscience. You completely have to just give yourself up to the promotion. If you do that enough, you're going to get noticed.
That's where he did.
He sure did. So bring it up before he gets back. Southeast Missourian, I like to talk about local stuff. Southeast Missourian, I pay attention to local news just for the fact that typically I just want to catch up on what's going on over there. But they just did a notable people that died in 2019 article, right? And the writer, I'm not going to say her name, but the writer wrote about Terry Kitchen, Coach Terry Kitchen from Central. Yeah. He was my coach in junior high. I mean, the guy was, and not only an amazing person, but he was a legitimate icon in the area when it came. If you played football at Cape Central and you went on to play college football, you had to thank Coach Terry Kitchen. He was a legitimately good person, like you, cared about the kids, wanted them to excel and do the best they could. I remember in 8th grade football, my first time I ever realized what the difference between hurt and injured was. I was a little scrawny kid, man, and they didn't really have a position for me, and I was kind of a little nervous and a little worried about getting hit. So that I had me in like the second tail. I was like a second or third string tailback. I ran through the wrong hole, so my blockers weren't there. And this big old dude, I'll say his name because I still remember, this big old guy named Dale Viox, big guy, just sandwiched me, pancaked me, laid me down. I'm laying there, can't catch my breath. I'm whimpering like a little baby. And Coach Kitchen comes over and grabs my helmet on the ground. And he goes, "All right, son," he said, "are you hurt or are you injured?" And I said, "Huh?" And he said, "Are you hurt or are you injured?" And I said, "I don't know." And he goes, "Get your butt up." So I got up, and he said, and so he came up to me later, and this is one thing that Coach Kitchen always did. He'd teach you in front of everybody, so everybody got the same. He treated everybody the same. Didn't matter who you were or how bad you, but he'd come up to you privately, and he'd pull you off the side. He'd do the old hand on the shoulder, and he said, "Listen, you know what I meant by hurt and injured?" And I said, "No, Coach, I don't." And he said, "If you're hurt, you can get back up. You can rub it off. You can walk it off. You can talk through it. If you're injured, then we can take care of you. And again, if you don't know the difference, that means you were hurt." So I learned about them. But the reason I bring this up is he was in that article about notable people that passed away in 2019. I know Coach Kitchen's son. He's a great guy. Right. But the reason I bring this up is they also included in the article death row inmate Bucklew, and he's a guy that's in death row, and they put him in there, and the paragraph after they mentioned Coach Kitchen and some other, basically said, it was the introduction paragraph. The next paragraph down was, and so-and-so Bucklew was on death row. Basically put him in the same notable thing. So there were a lot of people that were on Facebook just blowing it up, irritated about it. And my thing was about that is this local media, and I think this happens in a lot of towns, local media gets away with a lot of uncensored, ridiculous stuff because they are local. Right. If you're being watched by, if you're in St. Louis or Kansas City, New York, Chicago, you got all these people, so you got to be a little careful about what you put out. But locally, you really don't have, who censors the Missourian? Who watches them? There's no advocacy group in this area. So you get some young writer out of college, and I don't know who she is, and maybe she's been around for a while, but her putting Bucklew in the same article with Coach Terry Kitchen as notable people from 2019 was disgusting. And I'm saying this, these guys are not saying it, I'm saying it. Southeast Missourian, whoever is your editor and didn't edit that article and take Bucklew out of that article, you still haven't retracted it that I know of. You still haven't apologized for it. It's disgusting. When you put someone like Coach Terry Kitchen in an article, there should never be anybody on death row next to him. Just don't do it. Don't find a reason to do it. And it was almost like, they were noting, oh, by the way, it didn't really fit with the article. Right. And so that's my problem with it is local media, and one of the reasons I started the show is I talked to a certain local media person that was on talk radio, and she said that this show would never be anything, that it would never work, and I shouldn't do it.
He's finally joined us.
Oh, hey, good.
Cody.
But one of the reasons I did the show is because I called somebody about doing this show, maybe bringing it to radio scene, because I thought, man, it'd be a great, local talk show, and have it to be where people could come on from the community and talk. Right. They don't want that because they want to have control over how they
want to censor
Their
stuff
way.
like that.
Yeah.
Like what just happened.
Yeah.
They don't want that.
No.
Because Lord forbid, what if you had the radio show in the Southeast Missouri and was a sponsor? Mm-hmm. Now they won't. You can't say that.
Well, and that's the thing is that's doing like stuff like this when you do like podcasts and you do things where you basically you front the bill and you pay for everything.
Yep.
You could do whatever
Say
you
what you
want.
want.
Yeah. So
America.
What's up, Matt?
How's it going?
What's up, man?
We're gonna break in the action.
We got to get you. Yeah, sit over there by Chris.
Yeah, because we can't see him over there.
Yeah, I'm not
Plug in there.
not on screen
No,
there.
turn it around with the
Which is
labels
probably
up
better for
front.
everyone.
Labels up front.
You may need to do that, Matt. There you go.
There we go.
Got her. Thank
Yep.
you, sir.
Matt's back.
Yeah.
Even though his
Long past due.
he was advised that this was political suicide for him.
Well,
Well, we're not going to try to give you too much that you're going to have a problem with, but basically we can move on from that. But if you want to say anything about local media, it's disgusting to me that local media has nobody calling them out, and if I got to be the one to do it, because people are scared. Here's the thing: you've got the newspaper is owned by Rust Media. Mm-hmm. The Rust is they're a great family. I've known the Rust my whole life. It's not the Rust, but I'm kind of upset about how the paper's been going in the last 10, 15 years. I think we've got, and I'm just going to say this, it doesn't matter what you think. I think there's a new philosophy in journalism where you kind of, whoever's paying your bills, whoever you feel like you're kind of beholden to, that's who you've got to favor. So if you've got somebody that's in charge or running your paper that thinks that it's important to mention you've got someone on death row because of some conservative or liberal initiative, whatever it may be, and they put that in the paper in the wrong place. Look, if you want to do an article on Bucklew, and you want to talk about a man being on death row in Missouri, then fine, do it. But don't put it in an article when you got notable people in 2019.
So is it like a list of people?
Yeah, and it was people. The way they worded it was, and this was their fail safe was notable people.
Right.
So notable doesn't have to mean
positive.
Great.
It
can mean Hitler was notable.
Got it.
But my problem with it is you don't put it in a paragraph right next to Coach Terry Kitchen. You just don't do it. It's bad taste. And maybe the person that wrote the article isn't from the area, and that's another problem.
Even still, I'd even say just bad editing. You could take that person, Bucklew,
it was all
and
over.
whoever else was notably notorious.
Someone's got to
Started
catch that.
separated there,
Yeah.
and then say,
Someone has
okay,
to
then we're
catch
going to
that.
end on
Yeah.
the notable positives.
Exactly.
It was-
So, hey, I'm going to have both of you scoot this way just a little bit for me. No, you're good. You're good. I just want them in there, make sure on the camera.
Yeah.
So we don't have anybody. So,
I show all these beautiful St. Louis jerseys.
That's right.
there you go.
right.
So as we're moving into this, sticking with kind of local information, Missouri's minimum wage is going to $9.45 in 2020. Good or bad? Your opinion?
I'm all right with that.
You're okay with $9.45?
Yeah.
Okay.
$15 was I wasn't on board with that. $9.45. That's
Do you also believe? So there was I don't know if you know who Thomas Sowell is. Thomas Sowell is a kind of a modern day philosopher. He's a black conservative, and he's a super brilliant man.
yeah.
But he's very reasonable. The stuff he puts, the things that he writes, isn't really necessarily conservative or liberal. It's more about common sense based. So he mentioned minimum wage is $0, and I looked at that. Your minimum wage is $0, and I looked at that for a minute in the way he wrote it out, and it makes sense. His thing is who made it okay for you to work and someone feel like they're mandated to pay you a certain amount of money, and so his whole thing is he believes that people should be paid to work, but it should be up to the individual businesses decision what gets paid, because that's what fuels competition. That's what fuels, like if you and I are up working for the same type of business,
Right.
and I'm doing the job you're doing in another place, and I'm making $2 less than you are at the place you are, I'm gonna want to work where you're at if I'm doing the same kind of job.
I feel like you determine what your wage
Well,
was.
the only problem with that is we've tried that. We still do it.
Right.
We had that point in American where we were just paying companies were paying the bare minimum.
Right.
And it wasn't sustainable, and people. That's why unions and things got so big.
The
And that was
problem
an
is when
issue.
there's not enough jobs
Yeah.
and people have to work to get by.
Right.
So the market isn't setting that. That person
And
is
then-
setting
But
themselves
is
below
945
sales.
That's where I'm
a
at.
living look? So here's my thing. I don't agree with the minimum wage. I'm making that clear. But I also believe is 940. If you're going to say minimum wage, what is it supposed to be? Is it supposed to
Livable.
help? It's supposed to be livable. Well, 945 is not livable.
No.
So if you're going by living wage, which is like Bernie Sanders has been talking about a living wage. Look, in whatever political side you're on, my thing is I want everyone to have an opportunity and a chance in this life to do the best they can. Chris has a point, and I think it kind of goes on both sides of it, is I believe hard work should be rewarded. If you work for a company and you bust your butt and you work hard, you should be paid for it. But at the same time, I don't like the government mandating anything.
Well, what I'm saying is, whenever you decided to accept that job
Yeah.
at that wage,
Right.
you determined that your time was worth that.
That's
You agreed to
a
work
good
for
point.
that wage.
That's a
But
good point.
you're also possibly agreeing to that wage because you don't have another option.
And
Right.
that's also, and that was
Because
the big argument with Walmart. Is
How
that
many
Walmart
people
cut
working minimum wage jobs because they want to?
Meaning
Yeah.
they
Less
prefer
than
to
half,
have,
for sure.
they prefer to have a different job if they
Right.
could.
You'd be hard pressed to find, I'd say, a 50-year-old working in Burger King. That's not a manager or
or
district manager
working
something.
a second or third job.
Second,
Yeah,
third
yeah.
job saying, yeah, I want to be here.
I agree. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I mean, I can
It's
see it.
Louis Anderson from Coming to America. Oh,
Yeah.
you work really hard.
Pretty soon I'll be
20
on
years,
fries.
You'll be right here
And
where I'm
then-
at.
and then I'm on salads, and then it's burgers. But no, it's true. And the reason I bring it up is that comes down. We talk about what's your worth, and then where's your heart at.
Right.
So my thing is like, for example, bar. The bartenders here work for tips. So when they don't have customers come in, they don't get paid. That's that was their choice when they came to work.
Right.
But if I was paying them hourly, I would want to keep their hourly wage at a level that was at least competitive with the other local bars, because I don't want to be that one bar that's like, oh, they only pay $2 an hour.
That word will get around. Nobody will want to work there.
And that's my whole point is Missouri's saying, okay, we're going from whatever 7, well, I guess it was 8 something recently.
825.
825,
I believe, yeah.
and now it's going to 934 or whatever it was. So 945. So some say we're on the path to this, $15 thing, and I agree with you. $15 is a pretty good amount per hour.
Yeah.
it really is.
$15 with no marketable skills.
That's the
I've
thing.
got a Juris Doctor, and I don't make a whole lot more than that.
And that's
Yeah.
a good point. You have a degree that you not only did you spend a lot of money at, but you spent a lot of your effort and time that should reward you for
Exactly.
your,
Like
what
I said,
you're
with
doing.
Someone that didn't
marketable
work as hard as
skills.
him shouldn't be making the same amount of money as him.
Exactly.
Well, that's the thing. The minimum wage comes up, but my wages don't rise to meet that because it wouldn't be effective if they did.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so at some point, the people that are working $12 to $15 an hour jobs that are, like maybe EMTs or nurses are going to go, screw that. I'm not going to put people's lives in my hands. I'm going to go flip burgers for $2 an hour less
Yeah.
and not have the stress.
Right.
That's why you get paid more money.
It doesn't
because you have-
motivate
have the
people to
skill.
try to advance themselves very much, I feel.
It makes you work just hard enough to get by.
Well, and some people feel like you should be self-motivated. I think like DeMondre is a great example of self-motivation. The stuff you've done with your life and what you've decided to do, not only helping kids but for yourself, and what you've chosen for your life is self-motivation. I have a business. My motivation is being self-motivated, so I don't have a boss. That's my whole reason. People ask me, say, why you want to own a bar? Because a bar is a bad business to be in, because you live and die by the
High
trends.
risk, high reward.
High risk, high
Yeah.
reward. So there's sometimes that this business is the best it can be. We make a lot of money, things do well, and there's some times where there's nobody in here and bartenders aren't making tips, and then I start stressing because I want bartenders to make a lot of tips.
They start
But
stressing as well.
I came here to do this, to buy a bar, because I wanted to make my own decisions. Everybody has a reason, but I have to be self-motivated every day to get up and do this. So I pay myself a salary but my salary is very low because I have to make sure there's enough money for the business
And
to
there's a
operate.
lot of people that just aren't.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
For as many me's and you's and everyone else's, there's just probably a dozen more that are just content to
Just to live.
be there.
Just to be there.
You know.
Yeah.
And that's where minimum wage comes in.
So the minimum wage, when it was established, and it was established by our government mainly for people that were coming out of depression, coming out of war, you know, women that were back here with kids and their husbands were off to war, or their men were off to war. So it was established as a living wage for people returning, and the government trying to get us out of depression and a really bad time. And for the time, it worked.
Right.
It helped lift people up. But then the people that were on it didn't want to stay on it. So they sought better paying jobs, and they sought, you know, education. They sought trades and things like that.
That's
and so
how it works best.
Well, it should. Yeah. And so, as a college graduate, as somebody that went to college, as a college graduate with an advanced degree, as someone that went to college, I believe that people should start looking at trades. They should technical schools, applied application jobs, where it's welding and
nobody told me when I was coming out of high school that much about trades and.
No, they told you about college, right?
Go to college,
which was the funny thing was, you know, by the time I was out of college, you know, out of high school, I knew how to build a house.
Yeah.
You know, my uncle was a tradesman. My grandpa built 2 or 3 houses.
Yeah.
I knew everything that I would have needed to know to go to a trade school and be making a whole lot more money.
Yeah.
But
they're difficult jobs.
It wasn't there.
They're in the heat, in the cold. You bust your knuckles, you bust your back, you bust your knees.
I mean,
that's the reason
those get
paid the amount of money they get paid.
There's a lot of millionaire contractors out there, man.
yeah, well,
the guy I call like my little brother, he went to a trade school, and now he makes over $100,000 a year being a welding inspector. He doesn't have to work very hard.
right.
But
You get to
he went to a
point where
trade
you don't.
school, was in school for 6 months.
Yeah.
Versus, you know, you were in school for what, 8, 9, 10 years?
Not on purpose.
They just keep going up. 8, 9,
That's
10,
it,
11,
12,
14.
I mean, hey, I was there for
14.
almost 8.
It's only supposed to take 7.
I was there for almost 8 and didn't even get a bachelor's. So.
I got 2 years in over 8 years.
I was on the Van Wilder plan.
Yeah, me
If you look at how it was like the stigma that was around it though. I remember being a kid, my grandpa owned a farm. And it was like a hot, miserable day, and me and my cousins.
Dimitri.
Hey,
See you again.
Me and my cousins were out, you know, we were helping him do his farm work and stuff. It's fucking miserable, you know.
Oh yeah, that's hard work.
And you know,
farmers work their
and I'll
butts
never
off.
forget
Very
because
similar
it
story.
was a lesson. He could tell we were upset, like we
Yeah.
were mad, and he said, "Stop. You guys don't like this, do you?" I'm like, "No, sir, no. We don't know." This is what I'm gonna tell you like this. There's only 2 ways you can make money in this world: with your brain or with your back. Now, a couple of you might as well get used to this shit.
That's savage.
Couple of you.
Grandpa was vicious.
Oh, he was a savage, but he did.
That's
but
the
he
old school,
said,
man. They could say that.
There's a couple of you that can use your brains and get out of here. But if you don't, I'm going to teach you
Yeah.
how to be able to use your back.
Yeah.
And that's what a man's supposed to do. And that stuck with me.
Yeah.
You know, I can do a whole lot of manual labor. I can build a house, do roofing and everything else. I don't want to.
Right.
Like you said, it's back-breaking labor. It's hot. It's cold. It can get miserable. It can go with the seasons. It can
Yeah.
go with the people that don't pay you. I can be in an office.
Well, and that's the thing is you have to make a decision for yourself. If you're capable, like you're a very smart person. You're also physically you're a strong guy, but you made a decision very early.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use this instead of this.
Oh, yeah.
I want
There's one of your alternatives. I was told when I was younger in high school, hey, if you want to be cool in the summer and warm in the winter, work with computers because they won't put them anywhere else.
There you go.
That's very true. That's very true.
And you know, your office doesn't rely on Mother Nature.
No.
If it don't rain, the farmer's crops don't get water. You don't have a good yield. He don't make the same money.
It was hell on earth for the army to try to get me to not be a grunt. You know,
Yeah.
I was bigger when I was younger. And like, oh yeah, you. I said,
Yeah.
"No,
Here, put this pack on and go shoot
Yeah,
that guy.
yeah. No, I'm good. I'm gonna be a medic. A medic? Why you want to do that?
Yeah. Well, and that's where I think it's important in high school. And my mom is a retired teacher, and I think anybody that's in high school. But I think in high school we need to start opening up our minds, and I think they may be doing that now more and more, where we open up our minds and talk to students about trade, military, give them the world and show them. Say, okay, let's find out what you're good at, which is what counselors are supposed to do. They're supposed to say, okay, let's look at your test scores. Let's look like if you're going to use this or this, and then let's see what you can do with that. Are you good? Because some guys that are strong aren't good with their hands. Some guys that are good with their hands aren't strong. So
Some of us aren't
maybe,
either of those things.
but I mean, but maybe you could be some guys that are like that are pretty intelligent, can go into IT. They're good with their fingers. They're not good with their muscles, but they're smart, so they can use their hands. So you just got to be able to kind of get yourself in a position. So when you talk about a living wage and minimum wage, what you don't want to do is put yourself in a category where they make you into something. Make yourself into what you want to be.
Right.
I
I think
yourself
too with that, if we're looking at what we want, but then also we're depending on the market to determine things. We're saying like, all right, well, if you paid and this bar paid more, other people will go there. However, if we're looking at corporations and things now, just the people that really do the most of the hiring, they do the exact opposite in the name of profit. We always have this big thing about such and such went to Mexico or such and such since their stuff over there because their people are willing to work for less.
Right.
So without some of those mandates, where does that leave the corporation?
Let me ask you this. I'm glad you brought that up, and I've always wanted to talk about this for a second. So when we talk about workers from other countries that come here and work for less money, do they work for less money because they don't know any better, or do they work for less money because they just want to work for less money? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you take a dude from Mexico, never spoke a lick of English, right, and you bring him into this country and you put him in a Ford plant, and you're like, go do this and go do that, and he does it, I'll guarantee you he wants that $40 an hour over that $5.50 he gets in the crops.
I call that a hustle any day of the week.
Yeah.
If you can come over here with half my skills and take my job because you're willing to work for $5 or $10 less,
that's a hustle.
You just hustled.
You sure did.
And
You're
if you
helping
can,
the market.
and you can make it work, I just got out hustled.
You did get out hustled, but at the same time, we're not taught this country does not teach you that. We don't do that. In Mexico, you're coming from Mexico where you're lucky if you get $2 an hour.
Right.
Well, and that's it. If you're out there in the field making 10 and they want to come work for $5.50, you're going to go tell your boss, I'm going to show you why I'm worth 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to, but when we're talking corporations, we'll figure that out later.
You're just a person.
They're okay with a lot. Case in point, I work with a lot of doctors now. They've got this thing going on where everything's electronic now.
Yeah.
Everything's electronic. E-meds, and you got to do it. They have a thing called meaningful use.
Okay.
You have to show that you're using your EMD and your all this stuff enough. Government mandated. You have to show it or else you'll get fined.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
That's just it. Some doctors, a lot of the old school doctors, are willing to take that hit
Right.
just to do it the way they want to do it. And that'll be the same thing. I think about the many corporations, the many businesses that are willing to say, all right, you're going to charge me, fine me, what, $100,000 a head for every illegal? I do a quick math. I can take a $10,000 hit.
Is it worth it?
Off of not paying $50,000 worth of wages.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Well, and no insurance. You don't have to
no
put them. You don't have to
wages,
cover
no
them with
insurance.
If they get hurt, it's on them. That's why you got guys. And this is a prime example. I worked at a trailer manufacturer in Blodgett. I don't know if you guys know where Blodgett. You know where
I know where Blodgett is.
Oh, yeah.
But I worked at a trailer manufacturer, and it was over about a 1.5 year period, and I was working dead of summer. So there was next to us, and I'm not going to name names, but there was a farm that had watermelons. And on the watermelon
Everybody
farm,
knows the area. They know the
you
farm.
had acres and acres. I know, but I'm not saying it out loud, so let them figure it out. But acres and acres of watermelons, and they had a double wide trailer on the property for the farm, which is right next to the manufacturer, and they had like 20 guys living in this double wide trailer. These 20 guys at 6 o'clock in the morning filed out of that trailer, went into that field, and worked literally from sun up to sundown.
And think about the implication on that. That $5.50 an hour goes a lot farther when you're not paying rent, you're not paying utilities.
Well, and I don't
Not
know
paying taxes.
I don't know any of those details, and that's what I'm saying. I would imagine that part of their agreement was they were living for free, but they were shoved into a trailer. But my whole point to that is that farmer looks at his options and he goes, all right, I can go to Manpower, and I can go to the newspaper, and I can put an ad out for skilled labor. I can I can find I can find 5 or 10 local people, and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to pay them. I'm going to have to pay them, $9 to $10 an hour to do that kind of physical labor.
Or you have twice the workers for the same price.
Yep.
Or I can find a contact and I can get 20 guys for the same price and to do twice the work because they're not going anywhere.
And half the time.
Like,
grab me one while you're there.
you want another one?
Sure.
Hey, yeah, please. Dos Equis too. So the reason I bring that up is because now we're going to go into something interesting is talk about big companies. So I found this statistic, and I actually read this on Reddit, so I like to kind of read and do Reddit stuff. No, I just water good for me, thank you. Nintendo, the company Nintendo, speaking of big companies, it spent about $45 million in 2019 in advertising. I don't know if you're a gamer or not.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I got
you're a gamer.
teenagers, bro.
I know Matt's a gamer. I know he likes gaming. I think
Xbox all day.
Well, I just think gaming. There's so many different ways to be a gamer now. There's so many different ways you can be a gamer. But basically, there's a lot of us that like to game. And the Reddit user said they spent $45 million in advertising in this country in 2019 and only spent $18 on the Wii in the same amount of time. Actually, they said $9, but I added it. So my question to you guys is
everybody wanted a Wii though when it came out. Everybody was doing the parties with the.
Well, but that's the thing. That's why my question is important. Is how important is it to the popularity of a gaming system that the company keeps it relevant and keeps putting money into it? That's why PlayStation and Xbox have done so well.
Extremely. Thank you.
So it's extremely important, right? So that's why the Wii has died off and it's not recognized as a major gaming, although they still have it out.
The name Nintendo, I mean, to my parents and my grandparents, everything was Nintendo. It didn't matter with PlayStation or anything. It was Nintendo.
So for example, if you have
Issue and Kleenex.
Yeah.
If you have a say you're a PlayStation, you got a PS4, or if you're Xbox, you got an Xbox One. The previous ones, the 360 and the PS3, were the precursors to those systems. How important is it to the systems that are still actively being used? I still have a PS3. I still have games I haven't played on it.
Yeah.
But how important is it for now that they're developing a PS5 and a new Xbox system, and I hear Amazon's working on one, and in fact, what is this Stadia thing?
Streaming.
Google's we're talking about gaming in general. But
Stadia VR stuff now too as well.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
But how important it is for a company like PlayStation and Xbox, they understand this, but for these other little residual companies that are trying to get market share, how important is it for them to pour money into their systems to keep them relevant and keep them fresh, for people to play them? Because I know, right now, I'm an Oculus Quest, which is VR.
Right.
That's my kind of game right now.
You start off getting into niche markets, like Oculus.
Uh-huh.
But it takes just a lot of revenue to even get into that'd be like trying to start a new burger chain.
Yeah.
Who's going to rival McDonald's, Burger King, everything? I don't know that unless you are backed by an Amazon or a Google that you can do it.
Right.
It's
probably not possible.
No, at this
not
point,
unless you just got endless money.
Yeah, at this point, who can
you get
compete?
small niche crowds, but you ain't gonna get.
Right. I mean, you don't even need one company could decide you're done.
Because I look at online and I see a lot of these. I see a lot of games online.
Yeah.
Like internet gaming, where you've got where you buy property and you build up your troops and all these different ones. It used to be a World of Warcraft that used to just be online. And
apps.
Steam.
Apps
you get on Steam and people make games and things.
Right.
What happens is if your game is good, if you get so many people playing it and it gets a buzz, someone will buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You'll get some major company, Blizzard or something, they'll buy that game, and then you're happy. You just made a couple $1 million.
Are you PlayStation or Xbox, or do you prefer
PlayStation, Xbox, console,
whatever
PC,
it is?
Whatever.
Do you prefer one over the other?
Nah, I got them both because when they were in the middle of the gaming wars, there's some titles you can get for PlayStation.
Yeah, exactly. That's
because Xbox was
Halo.
a big sport. Xbox was sports.
Sports.
If you wanted to play
except
good
for
NBA game,
sports, and what is that game? Gears
Halo.
of War, Halo.
Yeah.
Be honest with you, the only reason I got a PlayStation 3 and 4 was to play God of War.
I love God of War, man.
And
is the new one, the PS4, is that good?
Is it on third playthrough right now?
Really?
Last one
I don't want to. I've been
two.
avoiding getting a PS4, but God of War's on it.
It is.
I'm in that whole story.
It
wants
is
to be Kratos.
entirely worth it.
Listen, I wrote a
pick you up a PSVR when you do
Listen, I wrote a 20-page screenplay that I was going to submit to Brian Singer, who was working on a script for God of War, and I wanted Vin Diesel to be Kratos with his voice.
Jason Momoa was the one that a lot of people were throwing around.
Nah, he's too big. Like Kratos. First of all, he's got to have that voice. He's got to have that voice. And Kratos is not huge. He's more of a he's a big guy, but it's more of a muscled up like a
grizzly type.
Yeah, grizzly, but he's not like bulky.
Yeah.
You know, but he's not bulky. He's like sinew and muscles. You killed my family. No, you killed your family, Kratos. Anyway, speaking of that, you can play Oculus Quest here at Shakers when I have it down here. You just got to let me know if you're going to be here, and we'll do it. Also want to promote a couple of events that's going to be here at Shakers before we get into our main. A couple of things here. January 24th and 25th. 24th is Hunks the Show. It's the male review that comes down from Vegas. They come in and thrill the women. So, ladies, you can get your tickets online at hunkshow.com or right here at Shakers. February 25th is Capes Drag Gala 5. I've got some performers coming in for that. So, kind of do some progressive and interesting entertainment. Yep. And then February 8th, I'm really excited. I've got a great live event. It's a show with local group Nordays. We've got Normandy coming in, and also Discrepancies. So a big February 8th show down here at Shakers. Also going to have House of Rhodes is going to be in kind of opening up for them, so that'll be a great night. So we've got a lot of exciting stuff, so check out our Facebook page, Instagram, Snapchat, blah, blah, blah. All right, real quick. The funniest show on TV in the last 5 years, and I love The Office, but the funniest show on TV in the last 5 years is Ridiculousness. Changed my mind.
I don't know that I've even seen that.
What?
Well, that was
It's kind of like a Tosh .0, but Rob Dyrdek.
It's ridiculous. You got to catch it. MTV too. They have it basically all day long.
It is the millennial America's
I'm guessing
funniest
there's no
home
music
video.
on that station either.
It's no music. It's
course.
look. That's exactly right. It's the millennial version of America's Funniest Videos, but it's far less edited. And Rob Dyrdek gives commentary while they're showing this stuff, and they have a staff of writers, and I'm telling you, I have never watched an episode of Ridiculousness where I have not laughed out loud. It is hilarious. And what they do is, of course, they don't take America's Funniest Home Videos used to take videos from people. Now the new thing is you don't take videos from people, you go find them because it's all over the internet.
Yeah,
but they go out and find the most unbelievably just crazy videos.
It's hilarious. But
It's hilarious.
Rob Dyrdek, Bob Saget.
Bob Saget is not funny in Rob Dyrdek, man. I'm sorry.
That was fighting
As
words.
far as commentating the videos, it's Bob Saget all day.
So I don't even agree with that. But here's my thing about Bob Saget. He's a fake family man. The reason I say it is he was in Full House, right? But he was also a stand-up comedian. He was one of the most guttural, nasty stand-up comedians you've ever heard. Did you ever hear?
So was Robin Williams.
No, I'm not talking about Robin Williams.
Yeah, that's why
I'm telling you right now. He did a stand-up one time, and he talked about, I've got a wife of 7 years, and he goes, no, 7 years, and he put his hand down there like this. It was a pedophile joke. I don't like pedophile jokes. I think they're freaking disgusting.
It's terrible. Bob.
It's gross.
It's terrible,
And so
Bob.
he did that joke, and he's on his show with little kids. And I'm sorry, look, I got a big sense of humor. I'm cool, but you can't do a pedophile joke and be on a show like Full House, and you got little girls running around. I'm sorry, you're gross. You're gross. Anyway.
I mean, can you drug women and be Dr. Huxtable?
That's what I'm saying. Rob Dyrdek, you never heard about that? You never heard about that? And you didn't know about that back then either. He was still Cliff Huxtable.
We all still watch the Cosby Show, so
We would.
It's a good show.
It was a good show.
I think if you look past,
Full House is still a good show.
if you look past, did you watch Full House, you weirdo?
I was a
We were
kid.
talking
That was
about
the
tonight.
cheesiest. It was
Full
the
House, Family Matters, Step by Step.
Full House was the
Dinosaurs.
cheesiest show ever
You love
made.
the music at the end when the lessons
Full House
coming.
and Family Matters. Yeah,
It's
Carl Winslow.
KBJ.
All I'm
You
saying is
see-
we had shows in the world when we had shows with lessons
It's
on.
so true. At the very end, the music would soften up and be like, DJ, you know, Daddy loves you.
Why did he like
Married
me?
a hockey player.
And then there was always one of the little sisters come up and say something quirky, and
American
they'd be
Gun,
like,
right?
All right, so
How rude.
before we get into our main subject tonight, which is, do you trust your government or can you trust your government?
I think I picked the right night to come back.
Well, and I'm shortening up the time for it because it's probably not going to take very long for this table. But there's
We all
a
have
new
the same answer.
there's a new website promoting weight loss that you guys can find out there. It's called Healthy Wage. I don't know if you guys have heard of this.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
yes.
so here's what you do on Healthy Wage. You place bets on how much weight you'll lose.
Well, you can gamble on anything.
It,
now. Yeah.
it motivates you, and you have something to lose and something to gain. So
I will
here's the
take
deal.
on anybody.
Could you imagine? Don't seriously, like, first of all, okay, if you really want to lose weight, right, you're looking for any way possible, like, that's one of the big, it's the second to heart disease in this country is our weight. So you've got a website now that's saying to you, okay, look, we're going to help you lose weight, and here's how you're going to do it. You're going to take bets on yourself, and it's going to make you financially tied into your thoughts of losing weight. So I want to lose 10 pounds by this date. And then they'll give you a whole pathway, and they show you, it's not just you straight up betting. I mean, they help you do it, and they give you dieting advice and workout tips, and it's a whole website for it. But basically, what's cool is you've got a whole network of people that are making you accountable so that they bet against you or with you.
I think they should tweak it and, like, go look for your enemies on social media.
And challenge
Yeah.
them. And be like, look, I'm going to challenge you.
Like
I'm gonna
that
lose
bitch
5
Karen bet $10 against me.
I don't need any.
That is motivation.
I
It's
lost
no different.
65 pounds last year. If there's 500 in it for me, I will look like this by the end of this year.
There you go.
Well, so that's what I'm saying is you can say whatever you want about it, but here's my thing. I thought it was so unique in the fact that you're actually putting something on the line, because a lot of times it's like, for me, it was like going to college, right? You didn't have to give a class if you didn't want to. You just screw up yourself,
Right.
and you didn't get
There's
your
no
grade.
pressure.
But if I had something that made me accountable through investment, right? Sometimes you make people pay and they think differently. So if I bet on myself, and I know Chris is like, man, I just bet $20 against you. Oh, you did, huh? All right, I'm gonna increase my bet. All right, I'll increase my. And you basically are not only are you making yourself accountable to your wallet and your purse, but you have others going, you can't do it.
I see.
Oh, okay, I can't do it. Okay.
I'm gonna place the big bet on myself.
Bet
so-
30 on
Yeah,
myself.
exactly.
And I'm gonna take your money.
So here's my thing. You got all these nice, this is the time of the year when everybody wants to lose weight, and they're saying all of these things, these resolutions. So here's my thing. Go check out healthywage.com, and see if you like it. But it's super interesting. I found it interesting myself, and I'm thinking to myself, that's pretty interesting. You put $20 up against yourself saying, I'm gonna lose 5 pounds, because I've tried diets, man, and the only accountability you have is yourself or someone that's doing it with you. So this is a way, and Weight Watchers are supposed to make you accountable, but there's nothing like being accountable by your buddy going, man, I just bet $20 against you on Healthy Wage. You gonna beat me or not?
This is breaking news. Jason Garrett is officially out.
I know
I thought
you.
that was like last week we saw.
Yeah, I
that.
thought that
It's
was.
official now.
I mean, we all knew that was gonna happen.
So it's been announced.
Thank you.
So that big Dallas Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
So the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys is out.
Also
so
gets
Jason
to
Garrett's
see it.
gone.
5 years too late.
Also,
But
just to sit and watch the playoffs with the Cowboys. 'Cause,
back to earlier. I mean, it's not. This isn't really a new concept though,
No.
because
Well.
people have been doing office pools for weight loss for a long time.
Okay, so I think that's kind of, if you're going to think about the inception of it, I think that's kind of where it comes from. Is there have been office pools and there have been people making each other accountable. I think this is a way for you to actually put yourself in a centralized location where people can go, oh, DeMondre's trying to lose about 20 pounds, and he said by this time I'm gonna bet this. I'm gonna bet the spread. He's not gonna get that 15 or 20 pounds, and you can bet against him, and you can straight up, like you said, go to him and go, man, I'll bet
People
against
are
you,
logging in
man.
to tell me.
yeah.
Like to encourage somebody. So my thing is, if you care about somebody, man, and you want them to get in shape, and this is just a unique and different way to try to do it, check
But
it
the
out.
secret
I
here
might
is
do
the
that.
house always wins.
The house
Yeah.
does win. Well,
Yeah,
they
he's
make money
making-
off
If
of it.
people are, if
Look,
He's
I'm
making
not
a
against
killing
each
off
other.
people's failure.
Look, I'm not against the company making money, man. And if a company can make money and then also get people to lose weight, whatever.
Because,
That's
I mean,
fine.
normal human habits are going to say you're not going to do it.
yeah,
And that's
normal.
what they're relying on.
They're relying on you.
They're
failing.
betting against
Yeah.
you, too.
Yeah.
So, hey.
Yep. And I think that's part of it but they're encouraging you by they're offering you diet tips. They're offering you they're it's not just a betting site. Like they give you opportunities
It's
to.
slightly better than a Surgeon General's warning on a pack of cigarettes.
It's just a little bit better than that. Yeah, the Surgeon General warning.
Don't do it.
So teenagers are like, ooh, try this.
But you have it.
Ooh, it's got a skull and crossbones. I'm gonna do it.
They're making it big now.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
So they read them when you're bored, though. Who?
Well, that's the thing is that's such a scam though. Really, we're
After
getting ready to talk about the
The
government.
actual Surgeon General.
You've already
is on the
committed
side.
once you bought them.
Yeah, so the Surgeon General warning, it says, let's see, this one is cigarette smoke contains carbon monoxide, okay? So does the environment. So here's my thing. Since we're getting ready to go right into our main topic. One of the biggest scams in the world, we talked about this on the show, you weren't here, but I talked about the government's agreement with Big Tobacco on you caused this to happen, and you admit that you caused it to happen, and then you put disclaimers out, and you can't advertise in magazines and on TV anymore, and you're going to pay out all this stuff. But meantime, you can keep selling your poison to the people. So my thing about that is, and this is, we're going to go right into our topic now for the next just 39 minutes, is can you trust your government or should you trust your government? And what I mean by that is the government that's here. Whether you voted for Trump, didn't vote for Trump, voted for Obama, didn't vote for Obama, whoever you vote for, it doesn't matter. It's basically all part of the same cogs and wheels, and I'm gonna lay that out for you. I'm a not trust your government person. Anybody here that actually trusts government?
I told you when we discussed it.
We talked
Shortest
about
episode
it.
ever.
I'm
Hell
gonna
no.
say yes
In the
and
show.
no.
Okay, now that's interesting. I want you to cover that because that's a very good point. Because there's part of me that wants to. I want to
part
trust
of
my
it.
government.
Because it doesn't matter whether you trust them or not. Like I was telling you, you need them,
Yes.
and that's all there is to it.
They are a necessary
You can't
evil.
have a country without a government. So whether you trust them or not is almost a moot point.
Do we need the type of government that we have, or can we exist? Like, for example, we had a guest on the show one time, Danny Stewart. Danny Stewart believes in anarchy. He believes in no government at all. He believes we should self-govern everything we do.
Yeah.
I know that we're not capable of doing that because there's so many wackadoos out there.
Has he ever
By the
been to
people
a
for the
daycare?
people.
Has he ever been to a daycare? I
I
think he probably would have an answer for that. I can't speak for him, but I would say, but that's his side of things. Is he believes that no form of government is good. So,
like I told Chris, I trust the government to do what the government needs to do to keep itself going, to keep itself functioning and relevant and justified.
Okay.
If that's making sure you have certain freedoms, because if you don't have said freedoms, you will overthrow them, they will do it.
is it?
If enough-
Do you agree that it's all a bunch of back scratching and money changing hands? Like, for example,
definitely.
you've got one side now of the argument saying guns are banned, guns are bad. You got the NRA and everybody else saying this. And then you've got, sorry, I didn't. That was a Freudian.
Remember, I'm offended right now.
No, I mean, I'm a Second Amendment guy, but here's my thing. So you take the gun argument, for example. Then you've got the government right in the middle, right?
Right.
And it depends on who you've got elected, who's going to go out there and give speeches. Because let's face it, the president doesn't have a lot of power when it comes to making decisions. He can say stuff.
Right.
He can talk about stuff.
He's an influencer. He's like a big social influencer.
Exactly.
Figurehead.
Yes. So if people keep that in mind about it, so we can only be influenced so much by him, what we allow. So if you take both sides of the argument, of any argument, I believe, and I've said this for years, and you're in the law field, and I've always said this about lawyers, no offense, but I believe that lawyers go to lunch together on both defense and prosecution. They eat their salads and their sandwiches, and they sit there and talk about case, and they're like, okay, I'll do this for you if you do get them to do this. Okay, we'll do this. Now, I had another lawyer tell me one time, well, we kind of do meet because we have to. We have to talk through cases and stuff, and sometimes we settle and sometimes we do this. So the government, for example, I believe that legislatures and who are the guys that go in and lobbyists? I believe that the people that make the law and lobbyists all are in the same big party boat. And then they give speeches that are adversarial to each other, but they don't really care because they know behind closed doors they're still working out deals.
That's a good one down there at the bottom.
Polishing barrels, Caleb.
That's a good one.
I think I just started a whole new meme.
I was polishing it and it went off.
In our day. I just started it.
Well,
It was unintended. Unintended. I said NRGay. I don't know why I said it. It's unintended. But if it works for you, if it works, if you
For
listen,
anybody out there
He wasn't
in
ready.
iPad land wants to Photoshop the NRA's logo to have a rainbow in it, put it under.
no, I think it's great because
I would love to
listen,
see that.
I would love. I'm conservative, right?
Yeah.
I want the Conservative Party to reach out to other people. So if we can reach out to the LGBT community and be more welcoming, and if we can do it through the
don't have to be
the
diametrically
NRGay,
opposed.
I think it's great. Let's do it.
I'm a right down the middle person, and I think a lot of it is just common sense.
Yeah.
He throws the Michael
In
Scott.
that case, like with guns, like you said, it's so polarized now
Yeah.
that if you were to come up with a decent solution, neither side's going to want it.
That's right.
It becomes to the point to where, you say, all right, well, if we're being reasonable, we can do X, Y, Z.
Right.
But it causes this side to give up something, and you're going to have to give up something.
And that's the problem
And-
now.
And it's an
But-
ugly blend of not only do I want to be the one that's right at the end of it, I don't want you to be right.
Right. But then, like
See, I
I
don't
said,
think
a lot
we're
of
like.
times there's
Look,
a whole-
when
what
you
you're
feel-
saying is, I don't think we're like. And that's the thing is, if you listen to American people, like we're sitting around talking, most of us are what you're saying. We want to talk about it. Like we want to find common sense. Like I don't care who you are. You're a proud NRA. I'm Second Amendment. I think we're at a table, people that understand that. My thing is though, do I believe that there are common sense things we can talk about that might make things safer? Yes.
yeah.
But we
Tyranny's
have,
not
but
gonna
but
unfuck
I,
itself.
but me saying I'm going to talk about it doesn't mean we're just going to go
Agree
legislate and
with
change it.
But then, like I said, then you throw the lobbyist in it. And when it comes to sacrificing anything,
Right.
that means on a company side, I'm going to lose money.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's where the issue lies, because I'll be damned if I'm going to lose money because you want to make common sense legislation.
And that's part of the problem because we allow a lot of money to influence our politicians, and we allow a lot of that to go on. As soon as somebody said, I think it was you that said, you take lobbyists,
Yeah, I'm
you take
okay.
them out of the picture,
People
and you
want
start
NRA
having
lobbyists
more
gone.
common sense.
Well, I read a
stuff
book
going on.
once. I was reading a book, and it was, I forget what the plot was, but at the end of it was something going on, and it was at the Democratic National Convention.
Okay.
And they had the FBI and stuff were there, and this guy was investigating. He went to a room, and every third or fourth room, they were in these guys, they were lobbyists. They had suitcases of money.
Okay.
And it's like, what's the deal?
Right.
Obviously, you're here to pay off.
There was a big push to get rid of NRA lobbyists. I'm
They were
fine, as
like,
long as you get
well,
all
there's
of them.
really nothing you can do about that.
Right.
Get rid of all
It's just,
lobbyists.
you just found a suitcase of money. We just happen to be at the DNC.
And
Yeah, it's nothing you can do about it. But
Right.
then the question arose, like, well, we knew that they were crooked, and the lobbyist said, well, it really doesn't matter because we're going to the RNC next week.
Yeah.
And that's what Chris is saying.
English gentlemen.
Yeah.
You
The
like this?
same-
I've got money from these people. If you don't like
Like they
this, I've got
said,
money
it
from
doesn't
these
matter who gets elected. Well, the guy was asking, so what happens if your guy loses? He said, well, it doesn't matter.
So do you think, DeMadre, and I'll ask you guys too, do you think that there was a time in our nation's history when politics was more about the people and about the decisions and how it affected our lives than it was about the money? Has
I
there ever
think
been a time?
very beginning
The
of our government.
only time that was happening was when America wanted its independence. And I think even then,
Agreed.
there was still some subtext of money.
And then that wasn't about everybody.
It wasn't about everybody's independence then. It was just about, we don't want them taking our stuff.
Right.
And we want to be able to control what we do with our
taxation without
stuff.
representation.
And a lot of it was rich people saying, you think, poor people were getting taxed. And it sucked for them, but they were already poor.
Right.
Rich people were getting taxed, and they were pissed.
And that made a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
That was the issue.
And that's a good point. That's a really good point when it comes to the government. The government's it's not supposed to be rich people. It's supposed to be people of the people.
Right.
So I think what we've got now is, and this is what I think a lot of people on the left side of the argument, or you're talking about the Democratic side of things, and people that talk about that, is they have a problem with
Caleb has come
conservatives and Republicans because they think that conservatives and Republicans favor big business and big corporations. And they think, like, for example, with Trump, he does a lot of tax breaks and a lot of tax incentives for big companies, which he does.
right.
But he does it under the auspices of, this is how companies move forward and hire people and new industry and all of this stuff. Now, if you look at the economy, I'm looking at the economy for a lot of people, and if you look at the unemployment rate, things are better for a lot of people.
My issue,
But
because I'm conservative fiscally, is
that's a good point. Say that again.
fiscally conservative.
You're fiscally conservative, and I think that's a good point because I'm very much that way.
My
too.
issue is
Caleb
I
has come
think that in doing some of these, he's leveraged the short-term gain past the long-term gain.
Right,
Because if you give so many people so many tax breaks,
right,
and everyone's making money, that's wonderful for them.
right.
But then eventually you need money to operate. And that money is not all flowing back at the same rate as it was when you were getting taxed. So the bill gets called eventually.
Right.
And
Because your choices are do less or
Right.
tax more.
and that's what it is. And when the bill gets called, you don't have that same amount of money.
Do you think, and I think this, and because we've allowed politicians and the media kind of to twist what we're saying, but if you're fiscally conservative, so am I think you could find a lot of liberals and Democrats that feel like they're fiscally conservative. They're like, okay, we should spend money on this, not so much on this, and
Yeah.
like common sense solutions to
We
spending.
got to stop them backdooring stuff on these bills too.
Well, and that's the
nowadays.
thing is, if we start taking back
That's
our
the dark side of lobbyists.
Right.
when we start taking back our
backdoor.
authority, right? If we start as people, right? When it used to be where we had more authority,
Right.
you had more say-so over stuff. That's why I like activists. I like activists to stand up and go, nope. I don't
Right.
care what I don't care what your cause is. As long as you believe in your cause, I want you to stand up and say something. Look.
That's what makes this country
Well,
great. Is
Well,
that
here's the
we're
thing.
allowed to do that.
I don't agree how Kaepernick did what he did, but he had a right to do it.
Right.
That's
Well, we
what this
push
country's
things
about.
Like, I see
I just
people.
pissed off so many people right
uh,
now. I don't agree with him,
I
but
see
he's got a
people
right.
griping about, welfare. People abusing welfare and everything. And I said, if you actually knew the percentage of like the people that actually abuse welfare versus the crap that the government wastes money on,
Right.
this would not be a concern.
That's a very
But
good
it is
point.
something you want to put to the forefront because it gets people upset.
I'm not a
It
Rand
makes
Paul
people-
fan by any
It
means.
makes people mad, and you focus on, we have to do something else, and it's a magic trick.
It is.
I said, all right, for this 1%.
One hand's doing this, and the other hand's
For
over
this
here.
1% that you're upset about, that lady's got an EBT card and she's using lobsters. You do know they just stole $5,000 from you out of your taxes this year. You missed that,
Yeah,
and
and that's
When you find out that we spent $9 million on research to find out if birds get drunk the same way people do.
Right.
I mean, who cares?
that's a real study.
it actually happened.
I just saw that. Yeah, no, that's a good point. And
I mean, I'll
that's
get
my
drunk
thing
with
is,
a penguin. I think it'd be
is-
cool as shit.
is one of the reasons, Madre, one of the reasons that I did this is to have this round table. We could sit around and talk, is because I knew guys like you and Chris and Matt and Zach and Cody had things they wanted to say, and I knew that we had more. Even the political differences, I knew we had way more in common than we had differences.
Oh, yeah.
You
And
just
if-
go out and talk to the guy next door instead of just saying, "Oh, he's got a Obama sign in his front yard." I
Exactly.
hate him.
And I
No,
I
he's
was
got a
always
Trump
the-
sign, I now hate
and
him.
here's what it
My
is.
neighbor
I
hates
want
me.
to I want to know why people support who they support. I want to know what it is about that person or that political movement that you support. For example, I wanted to understand if LGBTQ is marching for something. I want to understand what it's about. Why are you marching? What's important to you? Why is this important? When Black Lives Matter were in the streets marching, what is it they were calling for? What is it they want? When the NRA is at a movement and they're at a rally, why are they there? Are they fighting against somebody? I want to know this stuff, and unless we all sit around and talk and figure stuff out, and we all everybody's getting on here leaving messages and stuff, that's what we have to do. We have
Right.
to start interacting with each other, and I see people starting to talk to each other on here. That's what you have to do, because we don't take our power back and we don't start having politicians be responsible anymore with our money. That's the thing we got to remember, is the government has no money. They don't
what they
own.
Yeah.
Well, they don't own anything. We own
That's the most.
everything.
If you want to piss
Except
an
those
older
millions
person
and
off,
billions of dollars that they get.
I said I work with a lot of doctors, a lot of old people. As a joke, sometimes I'll say, "Well, this, Medicare, your entitlement." Well, I paid for it. It's a joke, but that's what they call it. They call Medicare and Social Security.
not an entitlement.
An entitlement.
It's
And
yours.
anybody that's collecting Medicare right now will get angry
yeah.
because they know
They
I
paid
work. Well,
into
first
it.
off, they're that age that I know I work for this.
Yeah.
This is mine.
Yeah.
You have no right to take it, to adjust it, to
You
move
give
it,
them their- you
to
give them
lower it.
their
You
money
give me
back.
what I worked for.
Like Social Security is a prime example. You got people that depend on every dime they've got. When I know somebody that lives on $650 a month. How in the hell can somebody live on $650 a month? Because that's what the government says. That's how much you get out of the money that the thousands we took from you. You get $650 a month
Thanks.
because we got to hold on to this other money for this and this and this. And that's my thing is until we start holding every politician. I don't care if you support Trump,
Yeah.
if you support AOC, I don't care who you support, until you start holding them accountable and stop listening to their speeches and their words and start looking at what they're doing with our money. And this is why I don't trust the government. We elect these officials, and it used to be better, but we elect these officials to represent us, right?
Right.
The problem is they don't. They represent themselves and their interest. And that's what we're electing now. Instead of electing people that represent us, but who are they? Who actually is out there? Can we find an honest politician now? Can we?
That's the thing. We are not going to have success with our government until we start electing people that the day they get to Washington goes to everybody on the other side of the aisle and says, you know what, I disagree with everything that you say, but I'm going to spend the first month of my term here listening to everything that you believe.
That's why I would vote for you for district attorney. That's why I would vote for you for a district attorney, because you're an honest person, and I know that if a case was put in front of you, whether it was against me, for me, or whatever, I want the most honest person. And that's my problem with, for example, you knew nothing about this, but the reason I brought this up is I didn't know you were coming, but I'm going to bring it up now. You're one of the most honest guys I know, Matt. One of the most legitimately honest guys. Everybody
totally
that knows you knows that.
It's true.
Through your whole life, whether you were in law or not. And I'm not going to speak about anybody in particular. I'm just going to say to you, the fact that you are not a district attorney and the fact that you are looking for what you're looking for is a shame, because you deserve everything you can get, because we need guys like you in law. Guys like you, it's so important that you're helping.
We need guys like you in public office.
Yeah. I mean,
I run for state rep, but they don't pay enough.
well, no, and I think you can do a lot more. District attorney, this is the thing is, the reason that Trump is loading the Supreme Court and loading the judges and loading, because what happens when you have conservative judges on benches? You get conservative decisions throughout the country, right? Being a conservative, I'm fine with that as long as that doesn't interfere with people's personal rights. My thing is guys like Matt that are out there just trying to do the best they can to be honest get, my words, not yours, screwed over because they're honest. Because you do what's best for people.
That does happen sometimes.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Don't ever change who you are, because you will get elected because of that.
I won't
If
sell
you're
my
not
soul for anybody.
good,
If you're not dirty
Good.
and you got integrity, then it's,
You don't know
it's
the whole
hard
story
to get
about it.
in.
I'm not going to get into it because it's
something
not
that-
fair to him. But
You can't buy integrity.
no.
It has to be developed.
But you have
It's
integrity
earned.
running through your system, and I appreciate you for that. And that fact that you had your finger on some of the prosecutions in this area, and you were fair about it, should be rewarded and not penalized. So I want to say more, but I'm not going to for your benefit. But anyway, you keep at it.
It's appreciated.
Yeah. Okay. So getting back to the government, my whole thing about this is DeMadre, Chris and I are kind of like doomsday preppers. I don't know if you know this or not.
Yeah, I knew he was.
Yeah, and so I am too, and we've talked to a couple different guys, and we do it because we don't trust the government. We don't trust what they're going to do, because I see what they do with people's money. I see how hard people work for years and years and years, and when it's time for them to retire and they get their Social Security, they get just a smidge of it, because they know, why do they keep raising the retirement age? So they know you're going to die within 5 or 10
As
years.
someone in
and we'll keep it.
my mid-30s, I'll be lucky to see any
You'll be
Social
very
Security.
lucky. You'll be very lucky. So that's why it's important when you're younger to invest and to have your own personal.
Well, even now, I think with politics, there's it looks like a system change. I'm not a progressive, but I see what they're doing.
there's a lot of interesting stuff stewing. Yeah.
Progressive push for change, and it's a lot of younger people now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the problem too, is most of Congress, most of the people who make the rules, 60, 70, 80-year-old people. All the people running for president are like, what, average 70?
Yeah.
So,
Well, you got Pete Buttigieg, who's like in his 40s, I believe.
He's 35, 36.
Is he 35?
Yeah, he's young.
You've
38.
got,
38,
Middle
38, he's
age,
38. 35 is the minimum. He's
minimum
like
age
30.
for
And then
president is 30 for Congress.
I think a couple of the other Democrats are in their 50s,
ain't gonna win.
50s
It
and
don't matter.
60s. But you're right. The people that, and this is my thing, is this is the one thing I've always said about the Democratic Party is for them to be the party of progressive, and this is what bothers me the most, is if you truly are progressive, then your party should reflect what your goals, what your values are. And I'm sorry, but your people that are running, you're leading your ticket right now, are not reflecting what I think you are.
Well,
so I'm wondering, are you really progressive? Are you really liberal, or are you just pretending because you vote party line?
It's all a trend. You gotta go with that part of the trend. You want to be that progressive new thing, but America as a whole kind of wants what it's used to.
Well, just
So
because
what-
something's
and what is-
new doesn't
So
mean it's necessarily good either.
You gotta
What is
have
it
that
used
that
to?
admit, honestly.
Change for the sake of
know the
change
white
is
man.
chaos.
Exactly, there you go.
Been the president.
Yeah.
All hell broke loose last 8 years when it happened. Look how much Congress changed and all this shift that happened. Hell, the Republicans came up with a whole new party.
So do you think, and you being a black man, do you think that there was a lot of shock and a lot of uncomfortableness with the way things people were used to in Washington?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think there was a lot of uncomfortable because you had a black man in the White House?
Oh yeah, it was a definite. I mean, you don't even have to go as far as the White House. Locally, you know, there were people who were uneasy for reasons I didn't quite understand. It's like, all right, Trump's the president, doesn't really affect me daily.
See,
It doesn't bother me. Why did Obama bother you? Well, and then you get the stir, and there's no real answer. I said, well, why does that make you uneasy? I don't care much for Trump, but him being the president doesn't bother me.
yeah, is it really? And that's the thing is, I'll be honest with you. I'm just going to be completely honest. Everybody knows I'm conservative. Everybody knows I voted for Trump. But when Obama stood up there and got sworn in, and he gave his speech on the plaza, right, when there's hundreds of thousands of people out there, and he gave that speech about hope and change and believing in a new future and all that. If you're an American citizen, and you didn't listen to him give that speech and go, oh wow, this dude dude might be a little bit different, And here's the problem is, my issue with him wasn't what he looked like. My issue with him was when he got in office, and then the people around him. See,
Policy change.
it was
I wasn't a fan of his foreign policy.
but it wasn't.
Right.
I didn't always put it on Obama. I put it on who he kept around him. He kept a bunch of knuckleheads around him.
Same with Trump.
And that's
Well, and that's the truth. That's the bottom line. Is
He
look.
has been terrible about picking people to be around him.
yeah,
And
and
you
that,
make
that's the
Betsy
thing.
DeVos
I think
should
you
never
pick really
be
bad
over
people to
education.
put around
We all
you
agree on that.
because they soak up all the BS. So, like for example,
Mad Dog was a great.
Steve Bannon's a knucklehead. He's a terrible person. But here's my thing about Steve Bannon. Who do you want around you when you're going to get that racist? He got a lot of racist talk. So do you want to have a progressive around you, or do you want to have somebody that's known as a racist? You put a racist around you. You know why? Because he soaks it all up. And then what he does is then he puts a more moderate in that position. And so my thing about the reason I don't trust the government, because it's all gamesmanship.
Oh, yeah.
It's all what they show you here and what they do over
Posturing.
here. And it's posturing. And so my thing is I see everything that's going on. And my thing about it is that's why I do not trust the government, and that's why I want to keep my money. And people don't understand why I don't like going to, when I buy a gun, filling out paperwork, because I know exactly where that paperwork's going. And that's why I don't like doing that stuff. People don't understand why I don't like filing taxes and putting down how many's in my household, because that is
Census.
What's interesting
I don't like
is
all that
they don't
stuff.
really need you to even do that. I've lived overseas.
They don't.
I
but
lived overseas.
it's just
In
my own
Europe,
personal
the government sends you a postcard,
Yeah.
and you fill out the postcard.
Is this you? And are you still?
That's
Yeah.
pretty much
Yeah.
verify who you are, and
Yeah.
they know how much you make.
Yeah.
You've been paying taxes every month, so why?
So
do
you were military, you were Army, right? Is that what you
Mm-hmm.
said? And I was Navy. And were you anything? Anything? No. Okay. So speaking as a military guy, and I was in the first Gulf War. I say the first Gulf War because we still have skirmishes over there. But I was bought and sold prideful about this country, about the what this country's supposed to mean in the world, right? Because I was in the military, and that in boot camp. That's what they do. They tear you down. They break down all that personal belief, and they're like, "You suck. You're nothing, and now you're part of this."
Well, then by and large, you go somewhere and you see why it's that way.
Yeah.
Well, so when, let me ask you this. So when you heard Trump say shithole countries, right?
Right.
It wasn't the right way to say it, but he's obviously seen some, because I've seen some of these places.
Yeah, he's a well-traveled person.
Yeah, and so could he have said they need to do this and that? So he doesn't think about what he says. But let's go back to military. Sorry. So when you're in the military, did you trust your government? Because that's who sent you. Who basically was risking your life.
I followed orders,
right?
But no, I didn't trust some of my government because hurry up and wait. How often do you get there? Did you get somewhere and it was just a cluster?
So let's describe it. So let's describe it for non-military. I'm going to describe it what it was, and it's probably the same for you. In boot camp, it was you first learned about hurry up and wait in boot camp, and then you heard everywhere after. Boot camp, you really couldn't say much at all. You had to just kind of roll with it. You sit in your mind, you're thinking, but at the same time, okay, when you get in to your post, wherever you're at, on myself was on the ship. It was always hurry up and wait. They'll tell you got to be somewhere. Get there, and then you would stand in a line of people, and you just wait and wait and wait, and you're thinking, could they not do this different?
Yeah.
And it makes you understand how our government works. That's how our government is. Our government is get your taxes in. We'll get your return to you eventually.
We're backlogged.
We're backlogged. We'll do this, and we're going to investigate this. If you file any kind of paperwork, any kind of lawsuit against the government, it's going to take years. And they do that. There's a reason for that. So when I say about trusting the government and the military, here's my issue. I had this really twisted because I was so prideful. I was so full of pride, right? We were singing Bless the USA, Lee Greenland song in boot camp. God bless the USA in boot camp right after church, man. In church. we did our church, right? And the chaplain got up there and he did the non-denominational service for us, right?
Right.
He just talked about whatever God you're worshiping, and typically it was lean Christian, but basically he got done with that, and then we sang God Bless the USA. And we sang it, we screamed it, man. Well, you didn't get to do it at the beginning. We didn't get to do it until about the 6th week. But anyway, so you come out of boot camp with this, your chest is bursting with like, man, I'm going to go out and just change the, And then you realize it's not really like that. It's a little bit more, you're part of a cog, you're in the wheel. So my thing was, I was on that ship during the Gulf War. And I remember the first time that I actually felt threatened was when Saddam had launched jets towards the Persian Gulf where we were at. And I was sitting 5 miles off the coast after he'd blown up some of the refineries, and they were burning, flames were coming, out of the ground. And oil was in the air, and you'd go out on the deck of the ship, and you'd get oil on your face and stuff. You could feel it in the air, and we got called to general quarters, and there's the first time, it was a couple months into it, that I felt kind of, like, oh, we're sitting ducks out here. I thought to myself, if I got blown up on my ship, it would be, it'd make news and all this stuff, but they just go on. I thought to myself, the government would be like, it's a tragedy, it's part of war, and they'd go on. And I thought to myself, the government is using me as a tool at that time, and that was a better cause because we were protecting the people of Kuwait.
Right.
But in your situation, when you were in, did you have moments of, what the hell am I doing?
Oh yeah, well, because I was a medic.
Yeah.
And we're governed by different rules. So
Army is way more hardcore than Navy.
As a medic, there are certain rules of the Red Cross.
Yeah, rules of Red Cross, rules of engagement, and things like that. Certain weapons that I'm technically not supposed to even touch because my job is to save lives. And you said he was the enemy. He's hurt. I'm not supposed to walk by you dying.
Right, you're supposed to try to give aid, right?
Yeah. But you just tried to kill me.
Right.
And now that throws
that's that internal struggle right there.
Yeah, that's a humanity.
Well,
with their dying breath, are they going to stab it?
Well, here's the thing, though. That's what they do. There's nothing that's going to make you more American or feel more American than going to a different country and hearing somebody talk shit about America.
Oh, I know.
You might hate your hometown. You might hate Kate.
I know.
Until somebody starts talking shit
You
about
might hate Kate, but you'll be damned if you let somebody from Jackson talk shit about
But the world, look, I noticed one thing, the world's filled with haters, but everybody wants to come here. I used to say that. We go to, I remember went to Egypt one time. I was in Egypt, man, in this little tiny small town. No running water. Went into a little place to have no running water, but they got alcohol. So we go in to get a drink, and they're grumbling. You can see them looking. You can see, you don't know what they're saying, but they're looking at you, and they're grumbling, and they know what you're saying. There's nothing better, and there's nothing more prideful to go, yeah, you can say what you want, man, but you in a second will be walking down freaking Times Square getting a kebab somewhere. I don't know what a kebab is. That was from Key and Peele.
The cannoli.
The kebab.
We had a.
You ever watch that show?
Yeah, that's why I was laughing.
That's my show, man. That's my show.
We had a professor at the law school who was a little rough around the edges and would just say what he thought, and most of the time it was spot on. And I remember when
I like those guys.
The Obama administration lifted the rules a little bit on Cuba, where scholars could travel there.
That's when you can start getting Cuban cigars again.
Right. And,
I was in Playa del Carmen. I was in Playa del Carmen when he did that. You could buy Havanas, the big ones, for like $20.
Yeah.
It was awesome. They were telling you to, your President Obama, he lifted it. You can buy it now.
It's okay,
man. Yeah.
Sheila Simon, who was Paul
Another
Simon's
planet.
wife, and she's now a big think tank lady, and I think she's also a professor at the law school now.
Did you just call her a big think tank lady?
Think tank lady.
Yeah.
She's big, like.
No, but she's.
I'm joking. Go ahead,
Big
man. I was trying to
up.
trap you into a.
Anyway.
She tried.
She's a very petite lady, actually. Was talking about, Cuba has this, and their health care, and they're this, and they're that. And Schroeder just looks at her and he goes, you can talk to me about this when people start floating from Florida to Cuba in old cars and rafts.
Right.
It's true, though.
It's an
true.
opportunity thing, but
We are the land of opportunity.
the thing
That's what
was,
the world
when you're
says.
over there, like I said, they pump America in your blood.
Yeah.
They pump,
America.
we're better. We're
Yeah.
the best. They're the enemy. They're bad. So now you have what
You
you've
want
been
to beat your
taught
chest.
versus this moral humanity conflict
Right.
of,
Right.
well, you're not as good as I am, and you tried to hurt me. Essentially, you tried to hurt America because that's how twisted.
Yeah. It's all one big.
Try to
Yeah.
damage government property at least.
Like it's really the military is really what people understand. Like they will teach you these things, and then just walk away. When you're done, none of it really applied. It was just what we needed you to know.
Yeah.
But we've essentially brainwashed you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If you, and some of it take it more to heart than others.
Right.
I was fortunate because I could see like, all right, I know what this is. There's my upbringing. I've got military relatives, neighbors, uncle, and stuff like that. So I knew what it was when it was going on, and I was still me. They didn't really tear apart mine. I learned a lot, but like I said, when I went overseas, it was really, really strange to see how many people hated America. Loved America, or would had like they either is like a weird hate-love relationship with America,
Yeah.
and or love black people. You know how many times that people, hey, why don't you just move here?
Yeah.
America, they don't treat
Better
you
here
good.
for
They
you.
don't
Better
treat
here for you, yeah.
Now, go looking up the history. You got
No, that's a good point. That's a good point. So if we talk about
That's
countries,
it.
when people talk
It ain't
about
that
when they talk
great
about
here.
oppression, they talk about oppression. Yeah, we've had our history, but you go to some countries still. There's certain people that can't vote or read a book or drive a car,
Saudi women just got the right to drive last year.
and that's what I'm saying is
and to do their own healthcare stuff.
Yeah.
To be able to sign on.
what
to
you
do
said,
stuff.
man. It's very true. If you've never been to another country, that's exactly how it is, and it's not always about military. You could be a tourist.
Yeah.
But you've never seen such an odd balance. You could go in a restaurant or a bar, and you'll have half the bar enamored by you, like, oh, America, America. You'll have half the bar going, fuck you, like can't stand you.
Why?
But-
Was
but-
that person Russian?
Sorry, there's a. I
funny.
tell you about
Yeah.
America. He's weak.
It's funny.
You think you're superpower.
Because when I was in Germany, we ran
We in
into a-
China superpower. You're
time.
not superpower.
I must break you.
I must break you. But
right
no,
there,
that's the
Boris.
thing is
If it dies,
it's amazing to go, and that's why I tell people when you're gonna go out in the street and talk about how bad this country is, please make sure you've been somewhere or you know about somewhere else, because all you have to do is go to a country that has a really oppressive rights still of people.
Oh, yeah.
And then you realize, oh shit,
look what just
There
happened in
are problems
Iraq.
with this country. Talk about that. Talk about
Well,
that. Don't talk about how bad it is unless you've got a comparison.
Let's be real and talk about the things. Let's talk about what it is. Are there certain parts of the country where certain people can't go because of racism? Yes. Is that still happening? Yes.
I just recently read an article about how a small local town is one of the most racist towns in the United States.
Yeah.
It's Anna.
And
They say that stands for ain't no allowed.
Anna, really?
That's close. Like that's right here in our own backyard.
There were no people of color living in Anna.
They
yeah,
call it a
but see,
sundown
here's the
town.
thing. But do you know?
Oh, so Chaffee. So I
Yeah,
mean,
there you
Well,
go.
Perryville
And
used
there
to be
was
Perryville.
cross
Used
burning
to
and
be.
all that stuff there.
But here's
Is
the
it
thing.
the same way now?
But that's
Not
what I'm
as
saying.
much.
Like, is it still that way?
it's
Is
a
it-
whole lot better.
Yeah, it's better. It's better because I usually go by the high schools. This is how I look at it. Okay. And,
Oh boy, do I know about that?
well, I'm
going
just
to
saying.
the high school I went to.
If you go to a high school, right, and I grew up in a very, very country white high school. Now they have different races in the school, and I look at how the community grows and starts to flex and change by what's in the high school, because that's the kids, meaning that there's parents and the kids are in the high school, and typically the kids that are in high school, the ones that I see now when I refereed high school and know it, they're pretty popular kids, man.
Yep.
They're popular in all kinds of ways. It doesn't have to be athletes. They're smart. They're part of the big inner circles. They actually are starting their own cliques and stuff. So my thing about it is there are a lot of communities in this area and in the world that still have some issues to deal with. But like Lang said, if you want to talk about the problems in this country, let's talk about the ones that are actually existing and not the ones that you want to be here so you can have something to rail against, or
Right.
something that you heard about and you're going to just go out and scream about it. Unless you've been a victim of that problem. Now, I can go out and say, I don't want this person to be treated wrong, but I need to understand
Yeah,
why they're
why.
being treated wrong.
Our-
I'm not going
our
to go
goal-
march with someone unless I understand.
Our goal has to be that as Americans, we are subject to no limitations except the ones we put on ourselves. And until
Well,
we're there, we still got
Well, and
problems.
I think
that's-
as
yeah.
we move along, even in time with technology and things, that we're closer. You almost at this point, and like I said, Anna surprised the hell out of me, but
Yeah, I
you
never
have
heard
to
that. I didn't hear that.
actively be trying to be racist now. Like, it's not something you can just be. I remember when I was in basic.
Wait,
I met-
say that again, just so everybody can hear you.
you
Say-
have to actively try to be racist.
You have to actually consciously
You have to
reach
consciously
out
do
and
it.
try to. Yeah,
There is you
that's
can't,
a good point.
in
I
this
never
day
thought
and
about
age. I remember in basic training, I met a kid. He's 18, had never spoke to a black person before.
Right.
I was the first black guy he talked to. All of his interaction came from what he saw on TV.
Yeah,
So talking to me and the other guys just blew his mind.
right. Like,
He was like, "Whoa, you're nothing like my dad said." And
and he ended up. Did he end up being a friend?
yeah, he's my battle buddy. I had to
Exactly.
drag him around because he was a fuck up. It was great. it was great.
Put the Madre with him.
Yeah. We roll with him. Ah, jeez. That was a lot.
Madre will take care of him.
There was a lot of push-ups. Lane, I appreciate that, by the way.
guns, man.
But now with technology, you can't.
Yeah.
Like, to think that some type of person is a way that they are, a whole group of people, and look at TV or your phone or anything,
Yeah.
and you still think that, you're doing that shit on purpose.
Yeah,
You can't tell me you're not anymore.
you're purposely trying to think that way.
There are
because
ways
there are.
that do fit the stereotype, but there's a small group.
Yeah, but he's
Right.
got a point. If you go on social, you can't go on social media and be racist unless you want to be.
Right.
There's too much. There's too much people reaching out and inclusion. Social media is very progressive. They want you to be after progressive issues and everything. So you're right. Racism, sexism,
Just about any type of
Any-
ignorance you want to
any
have,
type of ignorance. Yeah.
you can't do it. You know,
Well, same
unless you
thing
want to.
with because
Look at that guy that got cut from the Giants, Jenkins, for saying the R word, and basically just like, I'm gonna say what I say, but you're actively making a decision to do something you know
Yeah.
everybody thinks
R
is
word.
wrong.
What's the R word?
Retard.
Oh, he said that.
Yeah.
First of all, that's just dumb to say it.
That's a terrible word. that
it's
we
not
use
new
to
when he
was saying
eradicate.
it.
People
But he's-
say it, but people say it like to their friends and stuff. They don't mean it like you're that way. They mean
Right.
you're slow or you're acting stupid. But that's
He said,
unfortunately
you know,
you don't
on the
say
job.
I mean,
Live
Black
on
Eyed Peas
TV.
had a whole song based around that.
that. Well, no, it's a good point. It's on the way you use the word. But what like DiMaggio is saying, the point of the matter is,
I don't think we should use that word, period.
when we are in this country and we talk about the government, I think the government I look at the government now as this kind of group
looming
of people, and they're kind of sitting they look into this lofty position, because if you talk to a senator or congressman, they don't really know what people in everyday life go through. Not most of them, some of them do.
And that's partially because the everyday average person can't run for Congress because they can't afford it.
Yes.
That's the
And they don't go out and get in touch with their constituents.
Would you really want to be a congressman
Yes.
or a senator?
Absolutely.
Oh,
You
yeah.
do?
Oh.
Yeah, give me a few years.
I'd vote for you.
I'd vote for both of you
I
guys.
help your campaign.
Whatever
for sure.
ticket you ran on.
As long as you stay like you are right now. But the minute
Yeah,
you
it'll
start
be-
talking Washington speak, I'll be like, DeMadre,
It'll be
I'm going to play
straight,
some tape for you, man. I'm
straight
gonna play,
independent.
I'm going to play back tonight.
I
Be
didn't
like,
know
"You
you
know,
were
I'm
stuck. I didn't know you long
stuck.
enough. I'm going to check you. Like,
Same.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, I think it needs to be more people like guys like this that push another person forward. I think we have too many of these
Don't ever forget where you
elitist
were.
type
Where you
people.
came from.
It used to be everyday people. It used to be DeMadre. Like, he had buddies, right? And DeMadre, no, hold on. It used to be guys like DeMadre who he'd get out of college or not get out of college, whatever. He'd get a job and he'd start talking about politics and life. And somebody'd be like, man, you should run. And then DeMadre was like, okay, I'll run. And then he got a bunch of people to support him. And then he was one of us.
Do you know why that
And
happens?
he cared about everything, and now we don't. We've got people that sit in big houses that are rich and don't understand anything about us.
It's the same way that we get people like Todd Aiken on the ticket, and you go, how the f- did this idiot get on a damn ticket?
I don't know
It's
who that
because
is. Who's that?
He was the one that basically said you can't rape a woman.
Yeah, the one that
Oh,
said
God.
we can shut that woman can shut that
Yeah,
whole
she
thing
can
down.
just-
when
What
she's
about
pregnant.
the woman gets raped, she can shut down her
Yeah, but what
body.
about the dude that used to be a cop here and he said that stuff in Jeff City?
Oh yeah, that
here.
crooked cop there. That's running. He's running
Hovis?
again, isn't he?
Hovis.
Yeah.
He said something about like rapes were weren't as bad as people said. Like that people were more willing or something. It was some stupid thing he said.
Well, anyway, my point with that was it's because the people who are vetting them, the people who are up in the top of the pyramid of the party that are vetting these people are putting the people in that they want. It's another group of elitists picking another elitist.
Yeah. This is what we want now.
So if we don't start breaking that down,
It's
man,
gotta
if we
come
don't-
we need some
grassroots
everymen. We need
Well, that's what I'm
some
saying.
everymen.
But that's the problem is it's all
hard-
about money now.
It's
and if
hard
we
to
gotta
well,
get-
you can't change anything now because the people who do the changing are the people who make the rules, and they're already there. Congress isn't never going to vote for themselves to have a
It's
pay
not the
decrease.
people-
But then
job
you
to
said
get
something
afraid of
earlier.
government.
You
It's
said
the
something
government's job to be
earlier
afraid of
that
people.
you said something earlier that really made it different. You were talking about there's real change. I see it too. I see it on both ends. I see on the conservative side, it's more of it's like there's more grassroots. Like they're starting to
as you
kind
start
of
grassroots and
Yeah.
younger people are in.
Yes.
yeah.
Because, like Chris, younger people, and as far as Congress is concerned, younger is 30.
Yeah.
30, 35, 40.
33.
Right.
They're seeing that their future can't be what the other guys is.
No, they want it.
No.
like
They've
everybody,
already
yeah.
stripped all that. That's been stripped
Yeah.
mine. By the time I'm 80, I can't get what the 80-year-olds get now.
No.
So unless I do something with it now,
Yeah.
I'm screwed.
Yeah.
80-year-old guy doesn't care. He's already, congressman, senator,
he's
president.
already locked
He's
up.
going to die in the next 15, 20 years, whatever.
Yeah.
He's going to die. He's got his son and his friends already in.
Well-
if we want to change that, we got to build it from the ground up.
Well,
With
so
the kids.
as we close things out tonight, I agree. I mean, and this is kind of a reason these kind of shows and podcasts are important. There's all kinds of podcasts for entertainment and funny stuff and interesting things, but this sitting around a table with your buddies and talking about life, man, that's a lost art, man. We don't do it enough anymore, and we don't have guys like DeMadre and Chris and Matt getting into positions of elected where I know you're going to make decisions based on what you know is best for everybody around you. And the problem is there's nobody like that anymore. I don't see them. I see people like you got. First of all, I'm going to close things out, but you got a guy like Tom Steyer, for example. Tom Steyer's running as a Democrat, and he's pushing himself as this billionaire change. Look, I'm sorry, dude, you're a billionaire. I'm sorry, you really don't know what I go through day to day.
He probably hasn't wiped his own ass in the last
Yeah.
6 months.
Well, I mean, he probably wipes his own butt, but I get what you're saying.
Wipe my
But
own ass.
The point of the matter is, look, I need real people like DeMadre and Chris. I need people like
People that get pissed off when gas
represent
prices
me.
change.
Yeah, exactly. I need people that actually give a crap
I will
about.
drive across the street for a penny.
Right.
Yeah.
When you got to start making real people decisions.
Well, and there's a guy down
People
in
like
Texas.
my wife that gets mad at me because I spent $17 at something on at Best Buy or something.
Well, you do. You need like.
What we need.
I tell
What
you
we
what.
need.
I'll be honest with you right now. If I ran for office, the first person I would hire is my wife, and she would be my advisor because she would check me and make sure that I was staying who I was supposed to be. And that's what you need. You need somebody in your corner. And that's the problem is a lot of times guys like Trump, for example, he likes yes man. He doesn't like somebody to tell him no.
Right.
And
There is a difference between loyalty and honesty.
well, I'm a big
Exactly.
I'm an Abraham Lincoln fan.
Blindly following.
Abraham Lincoln believed in hiring rivals. There was a book by Doris Kearns Goodwin.
I love that.
I love it. Team
yeah.
of Rivals, and when he was because he was going through the Civil War, for God's sake. There's not been much more of a tumultuous time in the history of our country than the Civil War, for God's sake. You got a whole half of the country trying to enslave people and kill people. You got the other half going, look, slavery's bad, so let's kill each other over it. So here's my thing: is Lincoln believed you hire the best people, and sometimes the best people
Aren't your people.
are staring at you going, F you from across the table. Sometimes they're the best. And I'm thinking, if we get another candidate, if Trump would be that guy, maybe, he probably won't be, but if you get a candidate that gets in office and he starts reaching out across the aisle going, you know what, I don't like you at all,
Because if we
Right.
but you're pretty smart.
everyone else will fall in line because we're already over here.
Well,
Right.
and the ones that don't fall in line will be ridiculous.
Yep.
But the one,
Yeah.
but if
You
we,
don't have an argument, you know.
and it's okay. Look,
Ignorance and hate is
what
understanding.
happened to that? What happened to having a healthy dialogue where we're like, okay, you have this view, I have this view. Now, you can say whatever you want. Now, if you want to find solution, we got to be able to talk to each other and find it out. And that's what's going on. And this, I've said this before. Do your effing jobs. I'm tired of it, man. Government.
People like to argue more than they like solutions.
Yeah, they do.
They want you want
Yeah, you know
Some
why?
people
Because
would rather
solution
win
means you have to
than
actually
have
fall
the
on
right
one side or the
thing.
other.
you
You have
want
to
your
be able to
point
say,
be
I fall by
heard.
this.
I owned you.
Yeah.
Some people would rather
Okay.
win the argument
That didn't
than
win
actual
anything.
come
I
up
want
with
I
right.
want what's best.
Yeah.
Now I want to be right about stuff, but I'd rather be with my wife who's super strong. If she's right, and I admit she's right, I'm admitting she's right because she was right and what she said was right. So I want what's best for. If we can find a guy or a girl, I think it's time we had a girl. But
Someone with humility.
If we can find somebody that remembers humanity first, gets in office, and then surrounds themselves with people that's going to look out for this country in mass,
Only race that
we
matters
talked
is the
about,
human race.
like we talked about when the country started. Back in the Revolutionary War, when we actually cared about each other as a people, then we might be all right.
I read something that said the closest thing people have gotten in America have gotten to togetherness was after 9/11.
Oh yeah, we were all
Like
proud
they did
Americans
a whole
after
bunch of
9/11.
studies, and it was
That's
said
true, man.
They
There
did a
wa-
whole
there wasn't
bunch of
any
studies
race.
about
Nobody. You
No,
saw
we
people.
were
race
Americans.
issues and
No,
things. There
everybody was putting their arms around each other, and we
There
were
was
Americans.
a statistical drop in all kinds of racial incidences,
Yeah.
issues, and everything. It was to the point to where even the animals, it was really weird, like the animals were actually interacting more because people were being better with people.
I believe in the. There's a positive force in the universe. I believe if you and I are positive with each other, right, and then one other person feels that, then one other person. I believe positivity is like a pay it forward thing. So, like you talking about 9/11, that's a very good point. It's a shame it took that, but if we can remember that. How we felt after that happened, because why? They attacked us. They
Well,
didn't
I feel
attack
like-
you or me.
yeah.
They attacked all of us.
We realized that one of our credos was we all thought that was the truest thing is, together we stand, divided we will fall.
Right.
And so we all came together because they hit us.
So the shame of it
Nothing
is,
in that moment was more important than repelling what had just happened.
the shame of it is that what it takes in this country?
It wore
That's
off.
a shame.
Yes.
It's a shame because we're back to where we were before it happened.
You remember that movie Constantine,
Yeah.
where the angel told him, like,
Yep.
hey, I'm going to make you worthy.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring hell on earth.
Yeah. You're gonna earn it.
And this will make you worthy. This will make you the people that you are supposed to be.
You speaking
Without
speaking
giving
about
the
that, if
backwards,
you
middle
being
finger.
honest about it, in the book in the Bible, the book of Job, prime example.
Yeah.
Satan said, and this is life. Just think about it. Satan said to Jesus, "All right, Jesus, you got all these people following you, enamored with you, and doing everything. Here's Job over here. Job's got everything a man could ever want. He's got property, and he's got, then it was 4 or 5 wives.
Yeah.
He's got everything you want that a man could ever want.
Easy for him.
Why
to
don't
want.
you go ahead and test him a little bit and see if he still follows you?" Well, the point to that whole thing is why do we have to be tested to be what we need to be? You know what I mean? and that's I think kind of comes down.
Because like Martin Luther King, Jesus Christ, Martin Luther King said, it's how you're tested in difficult times.
Well, it's how you
That
respond.
determines who you are.
It really,
Oh, yeah.
it's how you
When your
respond
back's
to
against the
difficult
wall.
times.
It's real easy to be a good person when everything's going right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's not so easy when everything's coming
Well,
down around you.
all I'll say to you guys out there, and thanks for watching. You've been watching Session Stream live from Shaker's Bar downtown Cape. We're actually over time, and for my guest,
Get a little
DeMadre, Chris,
cheers.
and Matt joined us.
Share the video.
Matt got
Share
done
the
after he
video.
got his baby to bed, which I compliment you on that, being a daddy first. I'm Eric, your host. We do this every Thursday from 8 to 10 p.m. We appreciate everybody that joined us. There's a bunch of people that came in tonight, so we appreciate y'all. But whatever it is, man, get together with someone that maybe you haven't talked to for a while. Find out why you're not talking, because it all starts from the table. It all starts like this. This is the way it used to be. We're trying to get back that again. So join us next week. We're going to have
Real talk,
another
real
group,
people.
and I think Zach and Cody's weak bloodlines will be back in the house.
Yeah.
You're weak,
They
and you
fell to
didn't
the
show up.
sickness.
Yeah, down with the sickness. I want to know why they're out together. I
It's
wonder
mono.
It's mono.
Mono. It was the same girl. It was the same.
Male-based mono.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it, but Zach was actually a questionable woman from Cody last
I'm a
night.
Jets fan now.
That's the question.
Wow.
Zach was actually
They've
the
been doing a lot of that with
questionable-
New England lately, about the New England fans. But anyway,
Wow.
we'll see you next
As
week. We'll be
from a
talking
Jets
about
fan.
a bunch of Hoco stuff. DeMaggio, you come back sometime?
Sure.
Awesome.
Sure, it's
All
fun.
right, man. We will see you next week. Thank you, guys. You've been watching
Thank you,
Session.
guys.
See you.
Thanks, fellas.